Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you on this Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. Officially, the end of baseball season has arrived, and now we look forward to so much NFL and NBA and NHL. I saw the roster of quarterbacks playing this weekend, and let me tell you something. It is maybe the worst-looking batch of NFL games I've ever seen in my life. I can't wait to just go deep into it. I'll read you the list here in a minute. I saw it yesterday and I went, this is terrible.
You don't have to read it.
That's true. I mean, our job is to try to be positive, I guess, and sell you, but I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. It's great to be here, though. I am in a good mood. As much as I hate seeing the baseball season end, it just means that, well, hope springs eternal, and it could be us next year at this time. And I don't think it will be, but it could be. Anything is possible. So you have that vibe going into today. I will miss baseball, but it's not going anywhere because, well, the Padres are having an article a day written about them in The Athletic. We will talk to that. I can't wait to dig into their financials today. That is riveting stuff. Going to have a guy from H&R Block on to tell us exactly how you do loans and things like that. We're not, because it's boring. It's boring. But we will talk about the article that dropped yesterday. I'd go so far as to say it's got a little hit piece vibe to it. Certainly, it does. We'll talk about that. We will have some fun today on a Thursday, recap what happened last night. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Good to see you. And to my left is Benjamin Higgins. A little bit worse for wear this morning. A little bit under the weather, as it were.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the Santa Anas or if I do have a touch of something, but just head just kind of stuffy. But I will say this. I like this day. I've been a Padres fan my entire life. They've been around 54 years, and this is always the day they go back to 0-0, like everybody else. Like the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks and every other team in baseball, wipe it all out again and start over, back to 0-0, and the goal now is trying to win a 2024 World Series title. So, you know what? We suffered through a pretty bad season this year, but now the great part of sports, baseball, is that when it's over, you don't get to carry any of those wins over to next season.
Right.
It starts fresh and new, and here we go again, looking ahead toward a season that really isn't that far away. We are basically 4 months from the start of, 3 months from the start of spring training and 4 months from the start of the season.
I believe I saw 101 days until pitchers and catchers report, so we can do 101 days standing on our heads. We will, because you got Thanksgiving around the corner. It's the holidays. Everything's a little more loose. We may finally get to our worst songs of all time bracket that we've been talking about for years. I've started to put in some notes in my phone, Ben. I'd like to get to some of the fun things, that we've wanted to do now that baseball season is officially over. Obviously, massive congratulations goes out to the Texas Rangers, their organization. Huge turnaround for that team. And it does. It gives you a little hope when you watch the Diamondbacks and Rangers in there and you go, okay, yeah, I mean, this isn't Yankees, Dodgers. This isn't Mets, Dodgers. These are two teams that had lost a buttload of games the last few years. They turned it around. They were in the Fall Classic. Texas Rangers come out victorious. It is weird, though. I grew up there. And I felt nothing watching them win the World Series. Nothing. Less than nothing watching them win. I was very happy for a lot of people. But that was my first experience. Those were my first experiences at live baseball games, was back watching the Texas Rangers play at the old Arlington Stadium. But I don't have any connection to that team, really. None whatsoever. I feel like the most connection I have is some of the guys that since I moved here in 2010, watching them play here, and then going on to success with the Texas Rangers. So, but I'm so happy for so many of my friends and family that are Rangers fans. I do, like I said last week, I do question it a little bit because I haven't heard word one from any of my Rangers friends till the playoffs started. I didn't see anybody tweeting about it, talking about it. There's only one guy, Mike Reiner, my radio Jesus, my beloved mentor in this business. The man whose career and ideas I stole as my own, and he told me that I could and should. He's the only one. that was always in, whether they lost 100 games or won 100 games or wherever they were. He was the only one that I saw fully engaged like we are for the entire season.
You're calling it a fair weather fan base then. Until they knew they had a chance.
Correct.
They weren't ready to become emotionally invested in their team.
Yeah, I'd say that's absolutely
Because they're
true.
all emotionally invested in the Cowboys.
Which is
365 days of the year.
Because that team does nothing but rip your heart out if you're a Cowboys fan. All my Cowboy fan friends, I mean, it is they go to the ends of the earth for that squad in Dallas, and it eats up 80% of sports radio content. You got a 5% Dallas Stars, 10% Mavericks, and the other 5 is the Texas Rangers until now. And that's what, hey man, that's what a good winning season can do, though. And I bet you they'll be a lot more invested next year from the get-go. And they're probably a lot more invested now than they were. So congratulations to those guys. We'll talk about last night's game. Some questionable decisions, some brilliant baseball. I thought it was a really good way to end a World Series. Benny, take your victory lap.
Thank you.
Rangers
in 5. You can count my exactly correct predictions that I've ever made in my life probably on 5 fingers. Like, they don't happen that often. So, yeah, I will take the bow on Rangers in 5. I looked at the series and I thought, I just feel like the Rangers are going to be able to string together some big innings a little more often than the Diamondbacks.
Yep.
And ultimately, I thought maybe they'd win the first 2 at home and then the Diamondbacks would get 1 on the road. But somehow they ended up winning it in 5 games. So,
yep, they did. And listen, you picked it accurately. You made $0 on this, so that's kind of a waste of prognosticating.
I also have lost $0 on all the other incorrect predictions I've been making leading up to that.
That's also true. That's one way to look at it. That's definitely one way to look at it. My folks got here yesterday, picked them up from the air. As soon as the show ended, timed out perfect. As soon as I was pulling up, they were walking out, grabbed them. Got to spend some time. Had to pulled the kids out of school early. Got to spend some time with their grandparents. So that's nice. They're in town. Taylor's birthday. My son, he turns 3 on Monday, but we're doing the big party this weekend. And looking forward to all of that. We've got a lot going on in the family. And now they're here in town, just chilling. So happy to be here. Perfect weather. So it's good to have them here. But yeah, it's I just got a lot. It's a lot going on. Got very, very busy weekend ahead. How about you boys?
Only going to get busier.
Yeah.
Holiday season coming up,
man.
and it's that time. You were just showing me your preview of your Christmas card. I'm going, Christmas card? It's November the 2nd. You're just I mean, you always get yours out so early, so you're already working on it. But
you gotta order it. Well, I don't really do anything. I did this part. I found the guy to do it. Our beloved Justice Parman, who's one of the most talented guys on Padres Twitter out there. He's designing it for us. I think he knocked it out of the park. But then you got to order it. You got to get your lists ready of all the people that you're going to send it to. And I do none of that. Hannah handles all of it. She does it very, very well every single year.
Is it a naughty and nice list? If you're nice to Hannah, you get a Christmas card. If you're naughty, you don't get one.
We every year we do we spend about an hour going through. You want to send one to this person? I go, they're off the list. We've really deleted a few in the last few years.
Did we get one from them last year?
We do that thing, yeah.
We better send them one this year then.
We're like, oh, yeah, and then sometimes you have to wait, and you see one, you're like, ooh, we forgot them.
Save a few at the end to send out to people who send you one that you didn't expect.
That's exactly right. So we've got a lot going on. I will say, as much as I love my kids and celebrating them, I'm a little bit stressed about Saturday because I know at some point on Saturday, which is Taylor's birthday, I will get the look that says, we're never doing this again. The big party, right? Like the big party with a bunch of people. You need to go to here and pick up sandwiches and donuts, and I'll bitch about it. But we will get to that point on Saturday where it's either me or her say, we're not doing this again. Next year, tell them to bring 3 friends. We'll go to Disneyland. Anything but this. We don't want to do this. We say it every time they have a birthday, and we end up doing it anyway. Our birthday parties as kids. Actually, it's funny. I talked to my therapist about this yesterday. I had therapy yesterday, and I gave her the rundown on the Halloween situation, right? 3 Halloween parties and trick-or-treating. And I said to her, I said on the air, I felt like a jerk for my attitude at 7:30 at night. I was exhausted. We started at 1:30. We finished. It's too much. She goes, things these days are just a little more extra than they were. I go, yes. I go in when I went to school on Halloween, right? You go to Halloween, you may do, Ben's mom brought in cupcakes. You eat your cupcake, you finish your class, you go home, you kill time till your parents get home, and then you go trick-or-treating for 2 hours, and then it's over. You don't do 3 parties. You don't do parades. There's nothing. You just go. And so I talked to her about it. I go, I don't think it makes me an a-hole that I think it's too much and that sometimes I don't have the fuel to get through it. So we talked about it. And same goes for birthday parties. Remember your third, no, probably not. You probably don't remember your third birthday. I bet your mom does. But remember your 5th, 6th. We had 5 kids. We went to McDonald's. Everyone brought you a present. You played on the slides in the playground. You called it a day. You were there 45 minutes. Yeah, everyone had a Happy Meal. You got the hell out of there. We have characters showing up on Saturday. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to manage.
It is. Can I play also role of therapist here?
Sure.
But none of it is unmanageable. If you take it just all at, one at a time and you look at everything that you need to do, you can go and, you can set up a party. You're not curing cancer here. You're setting up a little party. Everyone's going to have a really good time. I bet Bo and Taylor, they're going to really enjoy said party.
They would enjoy if I brought them a cardboard box and said, happy birthday, play in it.
They would.
Who's this party for? My theory is that it's always watch what.
But why wouldn't you want to make something better if you could make it better?
Well, I think my theory is it's all a big competition. And
taking 4 kids to McDonald's and on the playland's kind of sad when you think about it.
Are you kidding?
As well.
It was awesome. I remember those days. I remember them with great joy.
40 years ago, that was great.
When he says 40 years, it stings, but he's absolutely right. It was 40 years ago.
What was the first car you ever drove?
You realize we have virtual reality now.
What was the first car you drove?
I got my mom's 85 Volvo.
Is your current car better than that? Have they made some improvements over the years?
Yes.
It was pretty cool for you then, though, right? It was pretty cool back then, but now things are better. So, we upgrade. We do things better than we did 40 years ago.
So, we're going to have, what's next? What's next is what I'm asking you. We got jugglers on unicycles and
I would argue
pizza ovens for the kids.
Right now it's tame compared to what it's going to be over the first 5 years were not nearly as intense as the next 5 years are going to be. You got go-karts,
oh god,
laser tag.
Yeah, you have like
Paulie's in 1994 right now.
That's true. Laser tag. Yeah, I think I know what he means though. Their asks
virtual
are going to
reality.
Because last year at Christmas, your kids are like, I want a MacBook, I want VR helmets. You're like I said, I could give them a cardboard box now. They're like, hell yeah, let's play Castaway in it. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot.
I would say cherish those moments.
Okay. I'm going to work hard this weekend on just being in the moment a little bit as I'm running to 40 places to get things.
Yeah, stay in the moment, one thing at a time. If you're tired, sit down for a minute, take a moment for yourself. You'll get it all done, and then the day will be over. You'll go to sleep, and you'll do it again tomorrow. That's just kind of how I roll. One thing at a time.
Hannah says, "Thank you, Ben," in the chat. So this is but it's days away, and I'm already like, oh god. That's what I do. I catastrophize everything. So I'm sorry. I'm working on it. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
I'm looking forward to today's show. We'll have Eno Saris join us to wrap up the season, last Smart Baseball segment of the year with the Enos from The Athletic. But I'm looking forward to Real or Fake at 7 o'clock. I got a Bobby Knight-themed Real or Fake that I think everyone's going to have some fun with as look back at the Robert Montgomery Knight. Was never my favorite figure in sports, but he was certainly a towering figure in college basketball. Passed away yesterday at the age of 83.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And the Padres have just announced a big new concert. Did you guys see that just dropped?
Already
this morning, 10 minutes ago. another concert out there, and it's a big one. We'll tell you what that is.
All right, we'll get to that with our daily ditty. Road trip songs are the theme. Get back to me on the selection, and off and running. We go next. Kelly's got traffic, and we'll be right back with more on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's important to loosen your load, and that's what a good road trip can do. And a good road trip song. That's a damn good one. Take it easy.
I once
seven women on your mind.
Passed through Winslow, Arizona.
Sure.
And you can't not think of this song when you pass through Winslow, Arizona.
It's a really perfect road trip song from the Eagles.
Yeah. Take It Easy by the Eagles on our road tripping week on our Daily Ditty.
Okay. There it is.
That's it. You have no other comments.
Nope.
Get the vibe that Woods does not like that song.
I do. I like that song. I like it a lot. I'm an Eagles fan. That movie, The Big Lebowski, really made it fashionable to hate the Eagles. The Eagles are a kick-ass band. There's no two ways about it. The talent on that in that band with Henley and Fry and Walsh and Don Felder. I mean, it's absurd. So to rip the Eagles is, I've always thought it was a bit fashionable because of Jeff Bridges and the dude in The Big Lebowski. And I hate the effing Eagles. I think they're fantastic.
I've always loved the Eagles.
Me too.
Terrific band.
What about my wife's favorite band?
It's not the Eagles who are coming to Petco Park, though. You teased a new concert that was just announced. Early announcement today.
Early announcement. Paulie says, I never remember this stuff, but they do this every year. The Green Day plays Petco every year.
They do the stadium tour. Like, pretty sure just last year they had Fall Out Boy.
Okay, I do remember that.
Green Day.
So this is the Green Day, the Saviors Tour, celebrating 30 years of Dookie, an American Idiot, playing along with the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas. And that show is going to be at Petco Park. When exactly?
September 28th, so not for nearly a year from now.
Okay, but you can get your tickets, I believe, as soon as tomorrow.
Pre-sale starts next Thursday, November 9th, and the general public sale Friday, November 10th.
The sale is Friday, November 10th.
Right.
Okay, all right. Green Day. Are you going to go? You haven't gone in the past?
No.
Okay.
I'd be more likely to go see Smashing Pumpkins than Green Day.
I fear that Billy Corgan doesn't sound great anymore. I don't know why I say that. But I fear that might be one that may suffer a little bit. Much like Guns N' Roses. I just feel like after all these years.
I think we almost went and saw them last time, and I don't remember if it was Petco or the amphitheater now that I think about it, but them and Fall Out Boy, tickets were $5.
$5. I met Pete Wentz. He came into my studio when I was at FM 94.9, and he comes up to my hip. He's a very little bub, dude.
Little guy.
Very little bub. It was
bounce him on your knee.
I was like, "Hey, little guy, how you doing? Fallout
You
Boy."
did not say that.
Little bub. Yeah, here, let me get you. Can you bring a phone book in for him to sit on so that I can interview him? He's a very nice guy. Very nice. Very, very nice guy.
I love Fallout Boy.
Pete Wentz. But I missed all of the screamo. It was kind of passed me by. I did tweet last night, the Texas Rangers winning the World Series is not only a win for the Texas Rangers, but it is a win for 90s butt rock. Creed is they embraced Creed midway through the season in a slump, and of course last night after they win it, they are jamming Creed in the clubhouse. And I thought, well, listen, it's a copycat league. We're all going to be trying this. I'd love to find the band that the Padres could embrace next year.
So who helped who? Did Creed help the Rangers? Did the Rangers help Creed?
I think it was a mutual.
It's Creed's got a new album coming out now next year.
Their downloads have gone through the roof. People are talking. Here's what people are doing.
It brought their music brought the Rangers together.
But here's what people are now doing about Creed. They're going, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe I gave those guys a bad rap back in the 90s. That sounds pretty good to me.
You called it butt rock.
Yeah, butt rock.
Why would it be called that?
It's just a term for that type of that scene.
What's it supposed to convey?
What do you mean?
There's a reason someone called it that. Is it? And I don't know. I don't understand why.
It's just what so there's no one agreed upon story how the term originated. Two eras of butt rock exist. Hair metal. Right, that was butt rock, and then you did the Creed, Nickelback, Yeah, so it says essentially here, Urban Dictionary says it's watered down both musically and lyrically to garner maximum radio play and mainstream acceptance. Lyrical themes are drawn from a put-on tough guy bro persona, and including being a badass, getting lots of, can't say that word, strippers, partying, and being betrayed or alone. Image-wise, butt rock bands typically consist of guys in their mid-30s with spiky hair, Affliction t-shirts, and bad tattoos. All right, yeah, that's it. It just sounds right, like rock and roll.
It's not a compliment.
No,
it's
not necessarily.
kind of an insult. Then.
But like rock and roll doesn't really make any sense, but it's just
True.
the term for it. So
True.
They call it butt rock.
But it's kind of an insulting term.
Oh yeah.
People have put on.
Yes, it's supposed
to denigrate that style of music.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. But I do wonder, will other teams try to find it? It's hard to copy stuff like that. It's hard to copy the vibe. You can't say, "Ooh, I like the vibe that they're doing. Let's play Fuel and see if it works for our team." I just don't know that it works.
The only things that work are organic. I mean, when all the small things played, when the Padres were coming back in the rain at Petco Park to beat the Dodgers, wouldn't have meant anything if the Padres weren't in the midst of amazing comeback at that moment. Right. And you didn't have that vibe at Petco Park. You couldn't just decide, all right, we're going to make all the small things a huge thing this year. We're going to play it here and here and here. Yeah. It doesn't work unless it happens organically. So you can't plan. You can't plan in advance these kind of moments and kind of feelings.
Is Creed from Dallas? Like, was there any Texas connection there? Florida. Okay.
Yeah, remember the Marlins?
Like, at least Blink-182 is from San Diego.
Sure.
Like, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no real connection other than Andrew Haney just all of a sudden was like, we got to switch up the vibe, and puts on Creed. I bet you half the clubhouse was like, who the hell's this? I've never heard of this band. And now, Creed comes out. They show up at the ballpark, and now they're playing it after they win a friggin' World Series. They're first as an organization. And, it was really fun watching ESPN put out a cartoon last night of the 5 remaining. ESPN finally decides to talk about baseball, and all they do is crap on the 5 teams that are remaining to win a World Series. Of course, San Diego Padres being among them.
Well, buy lots of concert tickets. You can help the Padres pay back their $50 million loan. That's out there. We will certainly talk about that coming up. I do want to get into Game 5 of the World Series, though. The decider last night, I think we need to kind of talk about it. As you said, there was a moment. Woodsy's already off the air, been fuming about this morning.
What are we doing here? So
we will get to that coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fans.
We're in 2023. Haven't we learned anything? I guess not.
Why buy concert tickets when you can just listen to our bumper music?
It's true. Yeah.
Very easy. Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan, 6:39 this morning. And, I mean, a lot was brought up yesterday about the San Diego Padres' current situation, Woods.
Yes, I saw this article, and like you said in a text back to me, it's a very sizzly headline. Then you read on in the article in The Athletic, written by Evan Drellick, Dennis Lin, Ken Rosenthal, and you say, oh, okay. I mean, it's basically so the headline says, Padres recently took out $50 million loan to help cover payroll sources. So you read that and you go, oh, man, we are in dire financial straits. Hey, by the way, we very well may be. I have no idea because I'm not in their office with their ledger. But then it starts and it says, oh, yeah, they took out a $50 million loan in September to address short-term cash flow issues. Very next paragraph says, MLB teams commonly tap into lines of credit to pay their bills, prompting some officials in the sport to suggest any concern should be tempered because the Padres were ultimately credit-worthy enough to draw the loan. Now, I did my immediate reaction was, oh, my God, like, we spent money on things that we didn't necessarily need. I know, in fact, that a couple of different things can be true here. The Padres did spend frivolously for them, right? And we loved it when they did it. I hope they do it again. I really do. I hope they never stop spending. That being said, when you see this, it does give you a bit of a sense of panic, and you say, what are we doing, man? Like, we're not making smart decisions really, seemingly, up and down the line. My theory as to why this article came out yesterday, I don't even think it's that big of a conspiracy theory at all. Ken Rosenthal, for whatever reason, has got the Padres in his sights. And he said as much last week. You were out. He did it his own. He does his little podcast, in his office and talks about a bevy of different topics. And Paulie and I found this pretty interesting when we played it last week on the show.
I'm just going to play the final 20 seconds.
Play the final 20
2.5
seconds.
minutes.
Yep.
6 managers in 10 years. I will tell you, folks, most GMs don't get nearly that many. So enough of the kumbaya in San Diego.
What is kumbaya?
It was not kumbaya in San Diego. And you know what? That story we wrote, Dennis and I, we should have gone even stronger.
Okay, so I heard that last week and I went, well, geez, man, like, okay.
He was irritated by AJ's Zoom conference at the end of the year where they were kind of poo-pooing the reports that came out about friction between him and Bob Melvin, which he and Bob have both actually confirmed since then.
Correct.
Essentially. Mm-hmm. And said that, in a way, they were absolutely right. There was clearly not seeing eye to eye on many levels between the Padres general manager and manager.
But a reporter scorned is going to then say, oh, okay. My question last week, and it remains.
Like, I get it. He was called a liar, essentially.
He essentially was, and I get it too. But I just lost my train of thought. No, my whole point was, why wouldn't you have gone harder? If you have more stuff to go with, why not? What are you protecting? You're a journalist who, has information. It's much like many of the reports surfacing. Bob wanted to trade. It's common knowledge he wanted to trade him at the trade deadline. Why wasn't that reported at the trade deadline? I didn't see that anywhere, right? But everyone said it was common knowledge, and everyone knew this, that Bob Melvin wanted to get rid of Juan Soto. So I think Ken Rosenthal decided to write this piece. Maybe this is the extra stuff. I feel like he is a little bit going in on the Padres, but I can also feel that the Padres maybe haven't made the smartest baseball decisions financially. Again, you signed a shortstop that you didn't need to fill that position. You had other needs you did not address, right? And so I think both things can be true at the time. This is not an attack on Xander Bogaerts at all. I think Xander Bogaerts is going to be a solid player for the San Diego Padres. But did you need Xander Bogaerts? I think that remains to be seen. And I think the answer right now, at least, 1 year in, is no, you didn't.
I've seen a completely different theory, like 180 degrees different from what you're saying. And you may be right, but I want to explore the other possibilities here. Let's get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Just one problem. South 5 Coastline at Leucadia got a crash involving a couple vehicles. One's in the HOV lane and one in middle lane. So watch out for a little slow traffic approaching that South 5 at Leucadia. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So it's a bit of your theory that, because of this antagonistic relationship right now between the national reporters and the Padres, that they've taken what is a fairly common, innocuous story and, dressed it up a little bit in an alarmist headline. Now, I think the story was very fair. I don't think they're being irresponsible journalists, but they know what the reaction would be, that there'd be a lot of people who would say,
poverty.
Padres must be doing something wrong. If they're losing money, they should be criticized. Shame, shame, shame on the San Diego Padres. I have seen a completely different theory as well. I have seen it suggested in other baseball outlets that because the Padres are planning on reducing their payroll this year, that this would be a convenient leak from the San Diego Padres to soften the impact of potential payroll reductions. You can't be mad at, a team that's trying to be financially responsible. No one should be financially irresponsible, right? So the Padres are doing the right thing by lowering their payroll this offseason by about $50 million, and they are getting this out there on purpose to let everybody know, hey, we're just doing the right and responsible thing this offseason. We're not being cheap. We're not backing away from our commitment to win. We're just doing this because we have to, because of our current level of finances.
And that's an interesting theory as well. Frankly, nobody really knows as far as, we are at when you, yes, we broadcast and talk about the team, but we are complete laymen when it comes to the financial situation of the San Diego Padres. We also know that they're doing a huge renovation in Gallagher Square. We also know, at least we've heard and been told, they're selling tickets. We know that a lot of tickets have already been sold for next year. I don't know the exact number. I don't know that they want us to know the exact number, but I know that there's a lot that have been sold. There's only so many tickets you can sell, right? That's a finite number. That's not you have a certain amount of seats you can sell, and you sell them. And great. You can kind of forecast what you're going to make on ticket sales.
Well, right.
Right? So that number's not going to change. The thing that irked me yesterday when I saw it was, okay, number one, I'll be completely honest. The first thing I thought of was great. Here we go again. We're going to get dragged and kicked in the nuts by other fan bases. That comes and goes. It happens with every team. Every team takes its turn on the chopping block for making dumb decisions and doing dumb things. Changing the flight attendants from older women to young white women, which is what the Dodgers were just in the news for doing. Everybody takes their turn, on the guillotine for making dumb moves. The thing that popped in my head was, so if I'm Juan Soto and I'm seeing this, does it affect him one iota? Does it affect the ability? Do you now feel, because of this article, that this is setting us up for a Juan Soto trade? I'm not going to lie. I felt a little bit of that. I
think, let's put it this way. When you and Hannah look at your budget for next year.
What is a budget?
A budget.
Yeah, what is a budget? We are unfamiliar with that term in our home.
Paul, when you and Megan set up your budget for next year,
the Colonel.
How do you decide how much you can spend in a year? You look at what you make, right?
Yes.
Well, you've got your salaries.
How much you're bringing in, how much
you bring in. And you go,
spend.
okay, so this is how much we're going to have to spend. I make this much, you make this much. Put it together. Here's what we can spend this next year. Baseball teams operate the same way. In 2023, the Padres looked and said, all right, how much are we going to make this year? Except they don't get a salary from their boss. They estimate what they're going to bring in on ticket sales, but they're not 100% sure. Are we going to sell out every game? Are we going to sell out 50 games? They estimate what they're going to get from their TV revenue. They estimate what they're going to get from potential playoff appearances. So they set a budget for the year. Well, the Padres probably thought, all right, well, we got our TV contract. Yeah, it's a little bit in flux, but we get about $50 million a year from our Bally Sports company. And let's see,
Now,
playoff
hang on,
revenue.
hang on. Surely they knew.
They did.
probably
They said
more
they
than
did.
just
they knew some of
influx.
that.
They said they did.
They also probably thought, all right, we got a really good team. We just made the NLCS. We're probably going to have extra playoff revenue that we can count on this year. And they didn't get that either. And then in the end, they said, I guess we didn't make as much as we were thinking we were going to. How are we going to then make up the shortfall? Well, like any business, and as it was pointed out in the article, take out a little bit of a loan and we will figure it out next year. And we ran a little bit in the red this year. Well, guess what? The team is valued at somewhere around $3 billion. They're not running out of money. They're not in danger of going, poor and going bankrupt. This is simply how businesses, especially at this level, work. That, sometimes you misestimate, revenue versus expenses,
Sure.
and you take out a loan, and it's very simple.
And again, that's all fine and dandy. And I don't care where they're operating. Doesn't affect me one bit. I'm going to go to games. I'm going to buy merch. I'm going to buy hot dogs and grand old barbecue at the ballpark. That's what I do. That's what my family does. I don't want to have to lose not good. I don't want to have to lose great players because of poor financial decisions. So until I know that Juan Soto is coming back, I'm going to be on the other side of the fence thinking, let's smarten up. Let's make better decisions. Let's not extend guys when you don't have to. Things like that. Those are the things that stick in my craw a little bit as a fan.
That's true, though, whether or not
they're
they
in the
take
black
a
or the red.
loan
Sure.
or take out the black or take out in the red.
This is just the next chapter,
This
in a
is-
line of poor
Correct.
decisions.
Well, yeah, that's how you.
I mean, like we were talking about, you and I talked about it yesterday, Woodsy, and Ben just mentioned the playoff revenue. Like,
Right.
that, to me, who knows nothing about this stuff, seems like you should almost view it as a bonus. You can't depend on it.
Correct. It's not promised, right? And by the way, my other thing that really would not leave my dome yesterday was, so if I'm the GM and I'm the president and I think, hey man, we budgeted for X, right? We expect to, this is what we made last year on this playoff run. We expect it because we've added payroll. So you obviously expect more wins and you expect a playoff run. At the deadline, you went out and brought in Rich Hill, Garrett Cooper, Scott Barlow, and G-Man Choi. That's when you should have gone balls to the wall. Now, at the time, I didn't know that they were under financial duress. At the time, I'm like, well, at least we didn't trade our good prospects. Now I'm looking at it going, if you were banking on that playoff revenue, you probably should have done more at the deadline.
You guys, I think, are looking at it more from a household financial perspective. If the Padres or any other team wanted to, and they said, all right, if we only spend $130 million, at the very minimum, we're going to make X amount of money. That you don't want your team to be run that way. That we're only going to spend the amount that ensures that at the end of the year we're going to be in the profit. That's not a great way for a sports organization to be run. If all your owner cares about is making money at the end of the year, well, you know who makes money? The Oakland A's probably made a ton of money this year with zero payroll and at least a minimum amount of national and local TV revenue. They guaranteed themselves, they were very financially responsible. They guaranteed themselves a profit this year by reducing payroll to almost nothing. That's not a good way to run your team, though.
No, but they're not also trying to compete for a World Series and having a potential free agent like Juan Soto, go somewhere else. And again, I hate that it comes down to being so cut and dried, but if you don't re-sign Juan Soto or extend Juan Soto, you've let a generational talent go. And again, I do feel like it's for financial reasons, but there's only so many of these long-term 10, 11-year deals that you can hand out.
You look at Juan Soto because he's on the Padres right now as the one you don't want to let get away. But every player in baseball is potentially someone the Padres could or could not sign. That's a free agent. They're all out there. Everyone has a cost, and you're not going to sign a lot of them because if you did, well, your payroll would be $18 billion, and you'd have every player. So every player is an opportunity to sign or not sign that player. You have an emotional attachment to Juan Soto.
I have an emotion. Yeah, I'd say that's fair to say that I want Juan Soto here in this lineup, and you're not a better team with him gone. Yeah, I'd say it's very emotional. I'm not in it for business decisions. I'm in it for emotion. And I think we all, as fans, should be. Anyone anyone glazing over an owner that makes money that's the wrong attitude to have, in my opinion. I don't care how much money Peter Seidler makes. I hope he makes money so that he can spend money. That's all I care about. Spend money. The Texas Rangers are a great example. Sometimes you can throw money at problems, and sometimes it works.
Well, the Rangers last year,
they spent
even months ago, were being absolutely crucified for spending bad money on Jacob deGrom. The Semien deal didn't look good. The Seager deal, he was injured a bunch. They looked like a very foolish, spend-hardy organization that didn't have a great plan and was probably doomed to years and years of trying to get themselves out from under all the bad decisions that their GM, who they fired, had made.
And now does that look this
And now
morning?
they're raising a World Series title.
And everyone is lauding. See, you need to spend money. You have to spend money.
The Rangers are, if you want to see a good example of what could happen to the Padres next year, the Rangers are a great example of where the Padres could be next year. I'm not predicting that the Padres are going down that path. They need a lot of things to happen right. They'll need some young players like the Rangers had that came up and contributed. But we were talking during the break. Could Luis Camposano not put together a Jonah Heim type season, a 260
Absolutely.
average, 18 home runs? He could do better than that.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Padres have the potential to absolutely be the Texas Rangers next year.
Yep.
And probably then some. Be Rangers plus next year, based on what they have and likely will have coming back.
I do. Please don't get me wrong. I still think this was an unnecessary hit piece on the San Diego Padres, but I also think that this team needs to make smarter financial decisions after you extend your generational superstar in Juan Soto.
All right, all guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. We'll be back with a fun edition of Real or Fake. Talk some World Series next year on 97.3 The Fan.
a lot of people in the chat are asking, and it was, I don't know that it was mentioned. I can't remember. I only read through the article once. But we mentioned the TV deal, and I saw a lot of people yesterday going, well, listen, they just need to find a new TV deal. Yeah, sure. I mean, I obviously that is something that needs to happen, but it's not going to. There's not 2 or 3 RSN regional sports networks going, Group Dog, it's me. I'm coming in. I want to do my pitch for you guys. And Eric Grupner and Peter Seidler, they're not going to have their choice of regional sports networks to say, we'll give you 60. No, we'll give you 75.
Right, this is actually something that I know something about.
Correct.
As I work in local television, and I'm not giving any inside industry information away because I don't have any, but my company owns Channel 10, EW Scripps Company, recently started a sports division. They have signed teams like the Arizona Coyotes, and they're doing an over-the-air broadcast deal. And it is certainly possible that my company might be interested in something with the San Diego Padres. But I can tell you that there is no appetite right now for spending the kind of money that Bally Sports was spending.
Correct.
You're not going to get that from my company. You're not going to get that from Your View, Channel 4. You're not going to get that from the CW or KUSI. We don't have that kind of money in local television right now.
It's just not there
to make up, a $50 million loss in television revenue. It doesn't exist. There are creative deals that could be in place, and I'm sure that games will be available and you'll be able to watch them somehow, whether it's MLB producing or, they get put on other channels locally. But it's not there in terms, at least in San Diego, for those, like the Dodgers have some sort of $1 billion deal with Spectrum. Doesn't exist here in San Diego. Not going to exist. So take that out of your mind that the Padres are shopping around all these entities that are trying to throw money at them. They're not. They don't exist here in San Diego.
Yeah, it's not going to be a scene where hey, may the highest bidder win for the rights to broadcast our games on television. No, it's going to be, I would imagine there's going to be, you're going to have to do some creative thinking to get your product out. By the way, the product next year should still be a very good product. I mean, we have star power on this team. There's still hope on this team. There's still guys that you want to pay money to go see every time they grab the ball or every time they hit the ball or take the field. There's no doubt about that. I'm still elated about, looking at least the top of our lineup. It's cemented. We're good, unless we trade Juan Soto, it changes a little bit.
It'd still be a good team without
Juan
Soto.
Still be a good team without Juan Soto.
Unless they give away Juan Soto for nothing, and that would be inexcusable. I would hope I can take the Padres, the reporting that I've seen, that if Juan Soto is traded, it's because they have been fairly blown away by an offer, and they feel like it will help the team, maybe not in the immediate. It's almost impossible to replace a Juan Soto in the short term, but they feel like over the next few years, they will be better off for making that deal because they are getting so much in return of potential.
That's a huge, huge hope.
No,
right?
I mean, it's a gamble, like everything. It's a gamble to sign Juan Soto.
Sure.
You could sign Juan Soto to a $500 million contract extension, and he gets hit by a bus. And, then
why sign anyone?
Everything is a gamble here.
It is a gamble, but I like those odds of Juan Soto over Christopher Morel or Michael King, right? I mean,
and the odds of Xander Bogaerts outproducing Jackson Merrill are very high as well.
Yeah, but I
mean, that has been the Padres' strategy these last couple of years. Go with the guys who
that's proven
are most likely to continue to produce because they have done it on the big league level and they've been superstar level players, and that has been their strategy the last few years.
The problem with the Juan Soto deal is that, Ben, you're not going to really know for a couple of years at minimum. It's going to be actually, we'll sit here in 2030 and go, well, that deal looks pretty good now. I mean, Juan was great for whoever he was traded to, but hey, man, so-and-so's been good, and you add up the total WAR and go, but they're not in a mode where you want to wait for 2030 to see how things pan out. If you're still in win-now mode, it's hard to sell to a franchise, we're going to get rid of this guy, And then when financial information comes out that says you're in dire straits, you're like, well, now, how are you going to tell me that after this article comes out, everything you hear, you trade Juan Soto, and you go, well, we were just blown away by the package. Well, yeah, that and you couldn't afford to pay him is what I think the normal fan is going to say. And I don't know that they're wrong. You'll have to wait and see 5 years down the road if it does, in fact, pan out. So, again, it for me, it always boils down to I'm tired of this team being a laughing stock. You know, I saw 100 tweets yesterday. Oh, poverty, can't keep up with Steve Cohen. And it's like, you're gritting your teeth going, just don't respond. It's not worth your time.
I'd love to just go 1 week.
It's just a week.
Big
Negative
athletic article about the Padres. Look,
I think those days are gone.
We addressed it last hour. It was more of a spicy headline than a spicy article in the Athletic yesterday. But just we go 1 week without
a spicy headline.
Padres being in the news for something not positive.
Yeah, I went 45 years without anybody writing anything about the Padres. I promise you, this is better than what we used to have. Negative is better than nothing. And
I don't believe that.
No, actually it is. You're relevant. If people are writing about you, it's because you're still relevant. You'd rather be relevant than not relevant.
I guess.
All right, we need a contestant for real or fake. A little contesting info for you right now. We are going to give away a chance to go to Vegas here in Real or Fake. Call 833-288-0973. Also, coming up in the program today, we have SDSU Utah football tickets. We have Chris Stapleton tickets that we're going to be giving away. And don't forget our biggest fan contest is coming up as well. All you have to do is register. Visit 973thefans.com/biggestfan. Register your name and then listen daily at 9:15 a.m., 11:30 a.m., and 5 p.m. during each fan talk show. If you hear your name called, call us back within 10 minutes. You'll qualify for our grand prize. It's a biggie. 20 tickets to a 2024 Padres game in the Odyssey Suite. You get to watch with all your friends, and all the fan hosts are going to come and join you as well for an evening that you will never forget. But you have to register for the biggest fan at 973thefansd.com/biggest-fan.
Such a good prize, man.
Yeah.
Such a good prize.
So
much fun.
lots of contesting initiatives going on right now here on 97.3 The Fan. Right now, though, let's get to it. Let's play our game of real or fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods. You can go plow through another donut. It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
Oh, look at all these callers who want to play some real or fake. Pick someone, Paulie. I can't do it. It's too hard. All right, caller, who's this?
Rupert.
Rupert. All right, are you ready to play some real or fake today? You're our contestant.
Oh, it's Ricardo. Sorry.
Oh, Ricardo. I'm sorry.
I thought he said Rupert.
Hey, guys.
too.
Good morning.
Hey, buddy.
All right, Ricardo, you get to be our contestant. If you can get 4 of the 7 correct, you will qualify for a 2-night stay at the Las Vegas, Westgate Las Vegas. Tickets to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons at the International Theater. Been telling you about the prize all month. Get your own tickets at Ticketmaster.com. And I got a Bobby Knight-themed real or fake for you after the passing of the coach yesterday. Bobby Knight was known for a lot of things. He was gruff. He was kind of a bully. He was a very successful college basketball coach, but boy, could he deliver a quote.
Yes.
I have 7 quotes here. You need to tell me whether the quote I give you is a real Bobby Knight quote or a fake I have thrown in that did not come from Bobby Knight. Ricardo, do you understand how the game works?
I do.
All right. If you want to ask Woods for help, he doesn't know the answers, so he can also help you if you'd like. All right. Round number 1. Quote. You remember when you were a kid growing up and believed in Santa Claus? There's not much difference between Santa Claus and me today, you know. We're 2 overweight, lovable guys that kids really enjoy. Real or fake Bobby Knight quote, Ricardo?
I think it's got to be fake.
That is real. That is a Bobby Knight quote. All right, 0 for 1. Let's go to round number 2. Quote. You don't play against opponents. You play against the game of basketball. Real or fakes? Ricardo?
I want to say real.
That one is real. Very good. Bobby Knight quote. That's 1 out of 2. We go to round number 3. If I was in charge, I'd drug test all of you sons of bees, not just the athletes. Real or fake Bobby Knight quote, Ricardo?
I think that's real.
That was a real Bobby Knight quote. All right, that's 2 correct. We go to round number 4. Quote, we have a bunch of great outside shooters. Unfortunately, all of our games are played indoors. Real or fake Bobby Knight quote?
Fake.
That is fake. That was attributed to Weldon Drew, not Bobby Knight. So that's 3 correct. All you need is 1 more, and you are a winner today. All right, here we go, Ricardo. Real or fake? The secret is to have 8 great players and 4 others who will cheer like crazy. Real or fake Bobby Knight quote?
Fake.
That is fake. That was Jerry Tarkanian, and just like that, Ricardo has won. I got a couple more for you here, Woods.
Stay on the line, Ricardo.
Yeah, stay on the line. We'll get your information. If the NBA was on Channel 5 and a bunch of frogs making love were on Channel 4, I'd watch the frogs even if they were coming in fuzzy.
No, that was mine. Was
that
quote.
yours?
Yeah.
That is a very woodsy
that
quote.
was
No,
my
that's
quote.
Bobby Knight. He was not a fan of the professional game. Mental toughness is to physical as 4 is to 1.
Real.
That is real. Absolutely. Ricardo, congratulations.
You know, I saw a lot of pieces yesterday about the quote-unquote complicated legacy of one Bobby Knight. Did you guys see those? It's a legacy, certainly. Complicated. He had some really awful things to say and do over the years. I've never considered myself a huge Bob Knight guy.
I know it's frowned upon to
speak ill of the dead is what Paul's about to say.
Yeah. He wasn't a great guy.
No.
Not really at all. Now I've flipped a chair or two in my day. Certainly, sure. I can relate to a lot of it. But some of the stuff he said is like
never choked out players I was coaching
right.
or anything like that.
Right? Yeah.
All right. So he has many former players who speak highly of him and thank him for helping them become the kind of man that they are today. I don't necessarily. I mean, I look at some of those. You know, the Steve Alfords of the world, and I go, I don't know that I think you turned him into a great person.
I think when it comes to coaching or leadership or anything like that, and I don't have children, but it's the best way to put it is if I had children, would I want them to play for this coach?
No chance.
Would I want them to be led by this person?
No.
I don't think so.
I have no problem with a coach screaming at my kid. None. I do have a problem with a coach putting his hands on my kid or like berating them. It's different than, saying
throwing something at
him.
Like
you can say like get your head out of your ass. That's one thing, but like the way that he went about it, it's great fodder for television, Sports Center, always showing the low lights, I guess you could say, of Bobby Knight, but by the way, I thought he had already died. There was one of those that came up yesterday. I went, oh.
I was surprised to see the age.
I was
83.
His knowledge of basketball was incredible.
Sure.
His offense was actually quite advanced for especially the time that he was running it. A lot of motion, moving the ball around, playing without positions, things that are still used to this day. He certainly had an unbelievable grip of basketball. And
he knew the game.
If there is one thing that you can take from Bobby Knight that he probably did to extremes that I don't recommend for everybody, but he didn't care what people thought of him or said about him. And sometimes we all care a little bit too much about what others are thinking about us at the time, and he certainly was not plagued with that affliction in his life.
No, not
Could
a bit.
not care less about what other people seem to think about him.
And those guys are tough to work with. They're tough to manage. They're tough to.
I think you need a little.
You got to have a little.
You have to have a little bit of caring what people think about you.
You have to
keep you just in society's on the rails.
100%
of society.
No
and
question.
he went a little too far in the other direction of not caring what people thought about him.
He absolutely did.
But that's not easy to do, and he certainly mastered that art of not giving a rat's what about what everyone thought about him.
You could say ass is rat's.
I guess
ass.
I can.
Yeah, ass.
Say ass, Ben.
He said it
rat's
too.
butt. Man, I don't know if the Rob Manfred audio is a don't do this or a do this. I think it's a do this because I laughed hysterically, and anything that makes me laugh, I think you got to put it in do this.
Fair enough.
You guys heard this?
I tweeted about it.
Oh yeah, you tweeted about it.
I tweeted about it.
This was spectacular last night after the World Series champion Texas Rangers were crowned.
It's always good audio.
It's great audio.
That's coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station. Back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, well, got a couple of updates here on previous Don't Do This stories before we get to our Rob Manfred audio, which we've decided is a do this because there's nothing more fun than making fun of the commissioner of baseball.
100%.
So I will start with an update on the Michigan sign stealing scandal.
Okay.
And obviously an NCAA investigation has been underway for a while, but you know the NCAA moves very slowly. And there's not going to be any resolution to this season at least. The Wolverines continue to truck along at 8-0 and, might be heading toward the college football playoff. Who knows? Maybe even a national championship. And apparently the other coaches in the Big Ten do not think that is even remotely fair.
I'm shocked.
They had there was a conference video call yesterday with the commissioner and all the coaches. And they went on. Jim Harbaugh was there. But then at the end, Harbaugh hung up, left the call so the rest of them could all discuss
Oh, my God.
Michigan. And apparently, according to ESPN and other sources, got pretty emotional. The coaches were really, it was both intense and emotional. Quote, source, collectively, the coaches want the Big Ten to act right now. What are we waiting on? We know what happened. Coaches use words like tainted, fraudulent, and unprecedented on the call to describe Michigan's signal stealing scheme. People don't understand the seriousness of it, said another source, how it truly impacted the game plan. To truly know if it's a run or a pass, people don't understand how much of an advantage that was for Michigan. Another quote, every game they played is tainted. They are looking for immediate punishments for Harbaugh, for Michigan. I don't know what they can do at this point. Vacate victory, or all of a sudden, you're 0-8 now. I don't know what they can do to Michigan at this point, but the coaches in the Big Ten are hot. They want something done. They want something done right now. They're not waiting around a couple of years for the NCAA to get around to taking away 3 scholarships from the Michigan Wolverines for this. They're mad, and they want them to do something about it.
Who's the guy, the spy? What's his name?
Stallions or something?
Cam Stallions?
Stallions or Stallions, yeah.
Is that it?
That Stallions is his last name.
Cam.
So former Connor Stallions.
Connor Stallions. The pictures and videos of him on the side. There was one. Again, I don't even know what I could believe.
He's the guy who allegedly purchased tickets to games at 12 of 13 Big Ten opponents over the last 3 years, and 35 games in 17 stadiums.
He was an intelligence agent for government, like in the Marines or something. There's video of him like on the sidelines wearing the opposing team's hat. I'm like, it can't be real. It can't be real. It's like if somebody said college football has its own Fletch, and it's that guy that he was like Fletch, and it just. I haven't reveled in it because, again, I also know that probably nothing's going to happen. Michigan's a good football team. I just don't know.
For his part, Harbaugh says, well, you just have to let it play out. Cooperate with the investigation. See how it plays out. Too much of a one-track mind with the team to engage with all the speculation.
All of this
gobbledygook. They're more than willing for the NCAA investigation to drag out as long as possible
100%.
right now.
Another update to the story Paulie and I did last week while you were gone, Ben, the hazing story at USD. Our friend, Bill McGillis, San Diego Athletic Director, Bill McGillis has resigned.
Now, they didn't connect that at all to the hazing scandal.
They never really do.
I'm sure it was totally random.
They issued a release and said that Bill was moving on. He said, I'm excited about, left a quote, excited about new opportunities out there. Obviously, the timing is going to have people talking about what's going on. I'm sure it's been a very difficult few weeks for the entire USD athletic department right now. We know Bill. I know Bill well enough to know that, he's been keeping a very low profile. I haven't heard, from him for a while, texts and stuff, but I'm sure he was sick about this whole thing. It's
terrible. Nobody wants...
He's been sick about this whole thing and how it's played out publicly and feeling bad for the kids who, were part of this, the ones who had the freshmen who had it perpetrated on them. Obviously there was a failure, though, somewhere in that athletic department that someone didn't catch this, stop it, nip it in the bud before it even started, and that is a problem for USD. So
when it goes, you always wonder where the responsibility does lie, and I can remember vividly the Penn State scandal. and Joe Paterno kind of playing the what? I didn't know. And many made the case, dude, you're essentially the mayor of Happy Valley. Like, everything that's going on in your program. It's almost impossible to do so, but man, the timing is that's what people will raise their eyebrows at. And I like Bill a lot. Really, really good guy. But it's just a really gnarly situation.
It's further complicated by the fact that you did change coaches this offseason.
Yeah.
And this isn't something that's new. So you can't really go back and punish the coach who's already gone for not catching it, but you can't also blame
the new guy.
The new guy who just got here and walked into it like, what did I just get myself into?
Yeah, 100%.
So, it's a complex situation to be sure. USD's silence on the matter, maybe it's necessary, maybe legally it's the right thing to do, but it's not a great look. Transparency is always better when you can be transparent, but they have not been able to do that so far, and that's just added to the difficulty right now at USD.
And now for something funny in Do This.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
Commissioner Rob Manfred steps to the podium last night wanting to offer...
Was he cheering like a madman throughout the game or something? It sounded like
either that or he was on like a 6-day bender. Like, that's the only time I've ever heard somebody's voice. He
sounds like one of those loyal fans like Craig after the game who's been singing and chanting the entire time.
Yes, exactly, which would be weird for the commissioner of baseball to be doing that. Especially for a team that actually spent money, because we know he hates that. But so here he is. I'll let the audio speak for itself.
63 years is a long time to wait, but the Texas Rangers are World Series champions. It's my distinct pleasure to present the Commissioner's Trophy to Ray Davis, Neil Liedman, and Chris Young.
World Series. When's the last time your voice cracked? It's been a long time for me. 13, maybe?
63 years is a long time to wait, but the Texas Rangers are World Series champions.
It's amazing.
World Series champions. When your kids...
What was he doing?
I don't know.
I feel
Hello?
if he's a little under the weather, I get it.
Fine. It's the Santa Ana's, maybe? Hello, everybody. Thank you. The World Series.
Did he not think of clearing the throat once before he grabbed the microphone in front of the entire world?
Yeah, give it like a... or how about a... Oh, excuse me. Like a hacksaw. Just do a hacksaw. Excuse me. Sorry, everybody. Like,
what a night.
Whoa. Do you have just the crack? Because that's what I want to hear. I don't know. For the rest of the day, World Series. It laid me out.
Texas Rangers are World Series champions.
Let's do it all day long.
Are World Series champions. Series champions. World Series champions.
When your kids hit puberty.
World Series champions.
Because both my kids have the sweet little voice right now.
It happens fast.
Does it?
Oh, yeah. I remember when Jack's voice changed. Like, I'd call him on his phone, and the old message was, "Hi, this is Jack." But then he's talking like this, like me,
Hey,
deep.
Dad,
and it's
how are
like,
you?
oh, my God, that changed fast.
It's so fun. Like, here's the thing. I know I'm going to make fun of them tremendously in our house when that happens. I don't remember when it happened to me.
You know, honestly, it is a moment that as a parent, you go, all right, these are not my little kids
These
anymore.
aren't little
Once
guys.
the voice changes, it's a different feeling.
Dad, I need the keys to the car.
Yeah.
Who is this? Yeah, their sweet little voices right now are the best.
Bro, I don't remember puberty, like the changes. I feel like it just happened.
I remember going home to Texas to visit from Connecticut to visit my best friend, and we went out to the pool. And he put his arms up, and he had hair under his arms, and I was like,
Like, do you ever remember like
No.
hair starting to grow?
But
It
I
was just
remember-
like there's nothing, and then all of a sudden, now there's hair there.
I remember being physically sick that he got there before I did, and I was like, This sucks. He's a man, and I still have these bald pits right now. I remember, I remember where we were. We were at Aunt's house, swimming by the pool, and he raised his arms. I was like, he had a thatch of hair under there. I was like, super.
I remember in like fifth or sixth grade, we had a pool party, and some kid that was like already just ripped had like chest hair.
And
I'm like, this guy on steroids or something?
Those dudes were wild, man. Those the guys that hit it real early, it's a real thing. But no, that laid me out last night. That's don't do this and do this.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We really do need to talk more about the World Series.
World Series
Coming up next, including the moment that had Woodsy hot.
You know what it is.
In Game 5
from
the strategy of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Boy, well, I mean, it's like we got to watch one more Padres game yesterday.
It really was.
In a lot of ways. We'll talk about that coming up next on Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Just a quick reminder, you can tune in to Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti every Friday night. It's at 6 p.m. here on 97.3 The Fan. Get all the preview of the weekend of NFL action, always free on the Odyssey app as well, presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos brought to you by those who drink it, and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. The Texas Rangers scratched their name off a shortening list of MLB franchises that have never won a World Series. There are now 5. We talked about it yesterday. Your San Diego Padres, the Seattle Mariners, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Colorado Rockies, and the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, the only 5 franchises to never lift that World Series trophy at the end of the season.
Very cool. Very cool stat for this morning.
Congratulations to the Rangers. They, well, let's talk about the game last night.
Yeah, it was a good one,
get
man.
into it. Yeah, we'll talk about how it played out. Really was the best pitching performance I think we've seen the entire playoffs, starting-wise, on both sides. We'll get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. Got a collision now on southbound 805 at Adams Avenue. Those vehicles are in the center divide. Also traveling on northbound 5 just past E Street. A collision in the center divide, but fire crews got that fast lane blocked. Accident clearing stage northbound 125 at the eastbound King Freeway. In peak wildfire season, as a last resort, SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdge.com/PSPS. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Spores kicks and fires. He struck him out looking. It's over. It's over. The Rangers have won the World Series. Ranger fans, you're not dreaming. The Rangers are the World Series champions. After 52 years in Texas, 63 years of the franchise. The wait is over. And the celebration has begun.
That is the great Eric Nadel, longtime voice of the Texas Rangers, a voice I'm very familiar with from my youth. 44 years at the helm for the Texas Rangers, man. I feel very, very happy for Eric Nadel. Slogged through a bunch of hot days, man. A bunch of hot days at Arlington Stadium, the ballpark in Arlington. Nice, cooler venue now for Eric, but 44 years at the helm to get to call a World Series victory. It's what it's all about, man. It's a dream for him.
Yeah, he had to wait decades. Rangers fans had to wait decades. Bruce Bochy didn't have to wait at all. He just showed up.
Like 8 months.
He just showed up and wins another World Series ring.
It's unreal, man.
4th of his career. Guy is making it look, honestly, pretty easy. I mean, if he goes on and, they win the 2025 and 2027 World Series titles as well, there is like voodoo going on with Bruce Bochy at some point. Here's Boch after the game last night on yet another World Series title.
It's special. I'm not going to lie, it's special to come here in my first year, with the team that was determined to play winning baseball and never won a championship. But as far as me, that's a byproduct of what those guys did out there and what the front office did. I was along for the ride, trust me. I was very fortunate and blessed,
Again.
to be able to get back into baseball in this type of situation. I was in Nashville just relaxing and had 3 years off and come back and be in this position. I've said so many times, I'll say it again. I'm blessed.
That's incredible.
Boch is really the only person who's mastered baseball. He seems, 3 years off, just chilling, and then just come back and win a World Series title. No long slog, no rebuilding up of the franchise, years and years of suffering to get to this point. Nope, just show up and raise a World Series trophy in your first season.
Man,
Again.
if you don't, I guess if you don't appreciate the job of a manager, I know a lot of people do. I thought last night, a couple of instances, I thought to myself, God, it's so hard. It's just such a hard thing to do, to manage a baseball team for that many games, to win, 11 games on the road, Ben, in the postseason is a staggering number. But there was a couple of instances last night that I looked at it and I went, man, this is what I'm talking about, and this is the beauty of this game. We talked about it, you and I, off the air this morning, the decision to leave Zach Gallen in by Torey Lovullo. I think, you watch it in real time and go, okay, no one's gotten a hit off of him. Curveball, sharp as it can be, mixing up his pitches, moving the ball, putting it wherever he wants.
Is it about 70, 75 pitches going into the 7th inning?
Yeah, no hits still. Corey Seager, ass out, drops the head of the barrel down, hits a squibber down third baseline. They're shifted over a little bit. Man, that's a knock, and that's the first knock. Next guy gets a knock. Now you got second and third, and you're like, oh, God, here we go. And if you're Torrey, you're like, I've got Ginkel just now getting loose. What the hell do I do? What do I do? You can't – you brought up the same tweet I saw last night. I don't know when it was, but a few years ago, somebody said, I'm gonna do a little research here. And they hunkered down with a computer somewhere, and they went, let's see what averages are the third time through the order. Did this not exist in the 70s, 80s, maybe even early 90s? Did no one ever think, is he weakening the longer he goes? Guys get to see his arsenal of pitches. Let's maybe put some numbers to this. Since that came out, a lot of people rail against it. A lot of people say, well, it's about heart at that point. It's about knowing your players. Well, it's also about numbers. Just because you hate it doesn't mean that it's not true. I mean, you start to see the numbers bear out. Hitters, you want to, if you're a hitter, you want to see a guy. You want to see him 3-4 times. You have a better chance of hitting him after you've seen his stuff. Your first AB, if he strikes you out, you're like, that's all right. I'll get him the next one. No problem. Right? Very rarely.
He won't get me on that pitch.
He's not going to get me on that. I've seen it. I see how it spins. I see where it comes out of his hand. I got it. I know where his release point. I'm good. But whenever they started doing this, I think if you're a manager and you don't look at that, I think that's probably, sometimes you got to go with your gut. You can't always go with the numbers. I don't think Torey Lovullo should have pulled Zach Gallen after 6 no-hit innings, right? And to go to his bullpen, he would have gotten killed.
Like Kevin Cash did when he pulled Blake Snell.
And I think he would have gotten killed, and I think for good reason. I think you let him go out there. And again, it's weird baseball, ass out, squibber down the line, gets you on base, he ends up scoring the first run. What I didn't like last night was in the third inning with Gabby Moreno laying down a bunt with runners on first and second and nobody out. That's your 3-hole hitter. Ben, in his career, he's had 453 at-bats.
Corbin Carroll singled. Ketel Marte walked. So first and second, nobody out.
In the third inning.
And Gabby Moreno at the plate.
And in for the first time in, I think, 453 plate appearances in the big leagues, you called on him to bunt. And he got the bunt down, moved the guys over. It's not only about getting the guys over, you have to know who's behind you. Christian Walker's been almost an auto out. So, all he needs is a fly ball. Didn't get it. Struck out. Next guy gets out as well. You gave up an out there, your 3-hole hitter, with a chance to, again, have a big inning. And there's this myth that goes ball that if the hitter swings away in that situation, he's somehow selfish and is just wanting his stats. And you play to win the game and all that. And I couldn't agree less. I disagree so vehemently with that a hitter is selfish for doing what? Trying to hit. Gabby Moreno, in that instance, Ben, needs to rip a double to the wall. That should be the only thing he's thinking about, is an extra base hit in that scenario. Could he ground out? Sure. Could he pop out? Absolutely. Could he foul out? Sure. Could he strike out? Yes. Giving yourself up in the third inning in the 3-hole is bad baseball. It's bad baseball. Any way you slice it. It just is. It doesn't make sense. 27 outs you have to play with, and bunting one back to the pitcher and saying, here's one.
I'm not going to fight with you on this one because I do tend to agree. It does feel like the way the pitchers were throwing in that game, if you could have gotten one, that puts a lot of pressure on the other team at that point.
It doesn't put pressure on the Texas Rangers and their lengthy, long, powerful lineup, even missing Garcia. 1 run ain't beating the Rangers. It's just not. 3 might. A 3-run homer there, then you're back in it. And the way that Gallen was pitching then, we have to get past this myth of like, oh, he didn't give himself up. He's a selfish player. He's only swinging for the fences. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, you're in the 3-hole for a reason. You're the team's best hitter. You've homered in the postseason. You're seeing the ball well. I don't understand it. And in fact, in August, Torey Lovullo put his team through bunting drills in August. And he said, quote, yeah, in August, dude. He said, quote, this is amazing. The season's coming down to one game, 100%. Book it. And I want to know when I put the bunt sign on that guy's got it.
And he did.
And
he got it down.
He got it.
He got it down.
He got it. So it doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, that was their MO. They were the small ball, the stolen base team.
He never bunted all season. That's not his MO.
He didn't, but that was what they did to get to this point.
Not him. He's your 3-hole hitter for a reason. Swing away. Hit that double in the gap. Put these guys out. Knockout blow. Get Eovaldi on his heels. He's a really good pitcher, certainly, but holy cow, man! That's what the playoffs does. The pressure ratchets up, and it leads you to make decisions, I think, that you normally wouldn't make.
I wouldn't blame you as Padres fans if you had a bit of a flashback while watching that game yesterday, because the Padres were the Diamondbacks. I'd say about 20 times this year. They had a great starting pitching performance, get all kinds of runners on base, and go 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position to fail to capitalize and then find a way to lose the game in the last few innings. That was the 2023 San Diego Padres in a nutshell. And that's what the Arizona Diamondbacks did to see their season come to an end. They had the only chances. Before the Rangers even had a single guy in scoring position, the Diamondbacks had 9 at-bats with runners in scoring position. And they came through in exactly 0 of them. And then when the Rangers finally got their first hit and had a runner with scoring position, they got 2 straight hits with runners in scoring position right away in the 7th inning.
So reminiscent of so many games, like on the heat, got the starting pitcher on his heels, on the ropes, high stress, big pitches, and you just couldn't deliver it. So many times we saw that game. It was a mirror image of the San Diego Padres season and what happened eventually. You end
Zach Gallen, dude, he pitches brilliantly, and then bam, 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 all of a sudden you're down.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And got out of it, with 1 run, which I thought was just massive. Still couldn't pick him up.
Yeah, I was ready to do a story on Kevin Ginkel.
Yeah.
The El Capitan high school kid, how he saved the whole season for the Diamondbacks by getting out of a couple of jams and limiting the damage, and had the Diamondbacks scored there late.
Yeah, bases loaded, 1 out.
Yeah. He would have been the absolute star of Game 5 right there. To escape a couple of jams to help the Diamondbacks get through late in the game, but they just could never get anything going offensively.
Couldn't get it going, and giving away outs early is just not. It just would drive me crazy. And again, we talked to Katie Wu earlier in the week, and we don't know who the next Padres manager is going to be. But I'll tell you right now, whoever hits 3-hole for us next year in that scenario, I don't really want to see them lay a bunt down in that situation.
You're not asking. You want Manny Machado to bunt?
No. Nor should you.
I don't think Bob Melvin ever did he?
By the way, Manny Machado, again, that's the narrative that I hate is I like these guys. They're unselfish. That's not unselfish. That's just dumb. That's dumb. That's dumb baseball.
I remember when the last time Manny Machado dropped the bunt.
High school.
Now, Juan Soto did it a couple of times this year, I remember.
He had a bit of a shift on. There was a couple times he did it. You're like, what are you doing, dude? It wasn't the most cerebral of seasons for many of our players in a lot
Tatis tried it once or twice.
Yep.
I can't remember if Xander ever bunted. I'm almost positive Manny never bunted.
If they're shifting you and you can take the hit and get on base, great. But to sacrifice bunt in the 3rd inning with your 3-hole hitter, to me, it made me bang my head against the wall. Neither of those guys scored. It's not productive. He's in that slot for a reason. He's got power. He's never bunted. He executed. He absolutely executed. But just giving up an out to that team when they're so valuable in that position, it made me insane. It really made me nuts.
Corey Seager wins his 2nd World Series MVP award.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, no one was talking about Corey Seager going into the postseason. But now he's not even 30 years old yet, right? 29 years old.
Yeah.
And has 2 World Series MVP awards. He's joined a very small and exclusive club. Got a couple of rings. I mean, he's putting his name now on the fast track for the Hall of Fame.
He is such a good player. Such a good player, just as solid as can be, and you feel like when he steps into the box, there's going to be some damage done. Was watching his AB last night on the little squibber, and it doesn't look like the world. It's not a Tony Gwynn-esque swing, but when you watch it, he's just balanced. He's on time. His head is still. Drops the barrel and finds some green out there, and it's just ridiculous how good he is.
I was listening to our friend Boog Shambi, who was calling the game on national radio, talking about what he always observed with Seager, that no one takes fewer swings in between than Seager. He just stands there. He just stands there and waits for the pitcher to throw.
When they had a meeting on the mound, he didn't even leave the box.
Yeah.
He just stood in the box and waited. I was like, this is unbelievable. He is such a valuable piece. And, you go out and win a World Series and a World Series MVP. Man, cementing your legacy. Money well spent for the Texas Rangers, certainly.
We'll have more on the wrap-up of the World Series with Eno Saris, our Smart Baseball segment coming up at 8:35. All guests on Ben & Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Fan Hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Come back, reset the show at 8 o'clock here. I've got a Halloween complaint.
Oh, I dropped the hammer last night on Twitter. I got in a lot of trouble for it.
Did you?
Too, yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little more candy when we come back next year on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home on a Thursday. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan, thanks so much to everyone who listens, tunes in, finds us on YouTube, Twitch, all of those different places. I did see a tweet. The Odyssey app is not cooperating with a few people this morning. Sorry about that. You can go to YouTube and watch us there as well. We just appreciate you guys making the effort. Wish we could make it easier for you sometimes. We'd love to come and broadcast at your home for you if we could. Right? Just give everybody a personal touch here on Ben and Woods. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood
would they feed
sports
us
anchor.
if we were there?
I'm assuming
would they make us
would.
breakfast while we do the show at their house?
That would be the next show to take over Petco Park. I mean,
like Green Day.
They're just announcing concerts like every
week. Are we
week.
a Gallagher Square act, or are we a full
we're
stadium
Gallagher
act?
Square, buddy. We're Gallagher Square.
Like 15 people roaming around.
Yeah, it would be nerve-wracking to have an event that you're the headliner of and you had to sell tickets for. That'd be a wreck. Did we price it well enough? Did we not price it well enough?
Hear me out. Ben and Woods live at the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Now that I would do in a second.
Do our show in the Sphere.
I heard it's like $1 billion to rent some insane number.
We're going to have to charge a little more for tickets than we're normally our free rate that we charge.
$250,000 per ticket to rent it out. I don't know what it's $1 billion, but it's something. It's a lot of money to rent out the Sphere. Odyssey, if you're listening, great place for a Christmas party. Great graphics and videos, and replay our show on a loop.
That would be a heck of a Christmas party.
It'd be the best. It would be
you two playing while we're at the Christmas party?
No,
we just get
rent
the
it
Sphere.
Rent it out for ourselves.
We'll just play our loop video that Paul has during our commercials, but on the Sphere.
On YouTube. So. Yeah, you can find us there as well. You can download Twitch. Search 97.3 The Fan. You can find us there. Try to give you a few different ways to consume us, but a lot of you have been, and we are really appreciative of that. So thank you very much. It actually dumbs me out a little bit, just if I'm being completely honest. I tweeted last night,
We're
Ben.
in a weird spot.
It is a weird spot. I tweeted last night. I was looking through the kids' Halloween candy research for research purposes, just to see what they got. And apparently my neighborhood is now a $100,000 neighborhood. That's what we do where I live. We give away $100,000 bars in bulk. It was 4 to 1 in both kids' bags. The $100,000 bar, which, okay, maybe I'll walk back. I did try one again for research purposes. It was pretty good. It's not elite.
Excellent.
It's not elite.
Oh, I would say it's one of the 5 elite.
Absolutely not.
Chocolate bars.
No.
Whatchamacallit, $100,000, Snickers,
Twix. It's second tier. It's B tier.
I think it's first tier.
So you used to see like one in there and be like, oh, look at that little hit. It was all $100,000 bars. I think everyone went to Costco, bought the Kirkland all chocolate bag. And in that bag, the ratios
$100,000, Kit Kat,
M&Ms, and in that bag, it's like 4 to 1 ratio of $100,000. Why are they unloading? Why the surplus of $100,000 bars?
There is Costco has created a certain homogeneousness of Halloween candy giveaways.
Homogenized.
They've homogenized it. They really do need a bigger selection of mini bag so you can get more. It's part of the fun of Halloween was the variety.
That's my whole point.
And there is less variety nowadays, it seems like.
I mean, there's almost none. It was almost all $100,000 bars in my kids' bags. So I had
and you brought none of them here to work.
No.
See, now that's the problem. This is my complaint. For all of you parents out there of Halloween-aged children, remember there are those of us who either don't have children, like Paul Reindl, or our children have graduated out of the Halloween trick-or-treating phase. So we don't end up with giant buckets of candy at the end of the night.
Didn't buy one bag.
So it is now imperative that those parents who still have Halloween-aged children do the responsible thing. Sift through your kids' candies. You know that they're not going to eat all of them, nor should they. That would be unhealthy and rot their teeth. And you bring them to your workplace the next day to allow the rest of us who didn't get any candy to have a little bit of a taste. No one at Channel 10 brought in candy yesterday. I was I was shocked. I was expecting, hey, we got Halloween candy all over the place from all the trick-or-treaters. We wanted to sift through that, and I was expecting a big pile, like in the kitchen somewhere, on a table somewhere, people bringing those little pumpkins with the handles on them. Just reach in. I just could grab a couple. I don't need a ton. I just wanted a taste. And I got like 0 Halloween candy this year because no one brought it in.
Probably karma for buying the crappiest Halloween candy available, the Krabby Patty gummy.
They went.
$1.
People came by and got them.
Bro. I didn't say it enough yesterday when you told that story, Ben. That's not maybe you cheaped out giving out one individual little packet to each kid that came by, but those are good candies. If you like gummies,
likes
if they were good candies,
Krabby
would they
Patty
sell
gummies.
them at the dollar store?
$5 store. This is the upgraded dollar store.
Yeah, they sell everything there.
You can get everything at the dollar store.
Can you get Reese's full packs?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not like knockoff brand stuff.
No, it's real stuff.
Maybe smaller sizes or anything like that.
Bo got 2 Reese's peanut butter cups. 2. That's a crime. It was a crime. In there, I looked at. I'm like, sour Twizzler. It was just a real hodgepodge of garbage.
I like the bag, the grab bag that has the fruit chews,
Sure.
like Skittles, Mike and Ike's, Starburst.
Yeah, it just there was a lot of 100 grams, and it really surprised me. They're not bad. I ate it in a pinch, and it was fine. But I still don't think it's elite level. I've never considered it. I don't know that many, and some in the chat are saying no, it's elite. Elite is a very, very. That's a big word. I think Snickers is elite. I think Twix is elite. I think Reese's are elite.
Snickers is so.
I think
good.
Kit Kats are elite. I had a Milky Way also for research. That was pretty good.
For research.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I had a Milky Way.
How did you gain all the weight?
Halloween will get you. I didn't have any Halloween candy on Halloween. I had like 4 research pieces yesterday, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, I can go pillage the kids' bags, and that's what I did. But
I can't, and no one helped me out.
You can go to a store and buy candy if you're so inclined.
I get that, but when you make that decision, that's a choice.
That's a choice.
You can totally absolve yourself when someone just dumps a bunch of candy on a table
I don't
somewhere.
want to go to waste.
You just go, okay, well, I have to. It's just part of tradition. But if you actually go to the store and buy yourself candy, that's a choice.
It is,
and you can't make that choice.
You're right. You're right. What did you have? You said you were doing something else. What you?
Yeah, I told. Why don't you bring candy into work? I was disappointed.
I set a record yesterday, personal record. I set up Christmas.
You're kidding. Yesterday.
We talked about it.
Wow,
you guys are
that's
early
awesome.
Christmas people.
We talked about it. You at one point, maybe to start the show, you're like, hey, it's November 1st.
Yeah, it's Christmas time.
season.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some Thanksgiving decorations.
Yeah, we have
a cornucopia.
All the Halloween decorations
said-
at work were replaced quickly by Thanksgiving decorations.
Yeah, the Christmas decorations make me feel so happy, so warm inside, so good. I'm like, it deserves more than a month. It needs at least 2 months. So
feels good, doesn't it?
Megan was working at the office yesterday. I came home, or on my way home, went to Target, got a bunch of stuff that we didn't have that I couldn't find or whatever, and just it looks like Santa's workshop.
Fantastic. I'm surprised my
She
wife
came home. She's like, "Oh my god!"
That's a really nice surprise. I'm surprised my wife didn't do that, but my parents are in town. We still have to take the Halloween stuff down. But yeah, I expect it to be up pretty soon. It's a very Christmassy home. We got to get a new tree, all that stuff this year. We're going to, you do the fake tree, I think.
We got a new fake tree last year, so we're set right
I think
now.
We'll get one at Costco.
We normally sleep. It's pretty dark in our room,
Yeah.
but then you have the Christmas decorations
Feels good.
throughout the house,
Yeah.
and it's like a nightlight. I got up this morning, walked in the kitchen. I'm like, it looks different, but I just love it. I love the feeling. It's such a good way to just be in your home. So
It's weird that it's weird that it's like 80 outside, and you're you're setting up Chris. It's odd. Yesterday it was roasting hot, but it does. That's what we get. We get a lot of warm Christmases here. So I'm glad you did that. That's a good move. I think it's a power move, and you made your wife very happy. And it's ultimately it's a good thing. Now the only thing is, once it's over, though, it's over. You can lead up to it as long as you like. I feel like once Christmas is over, there's no need to There's no need to extend it really past.
You can keep your tree up until New Year's Day.
Really?
Yeah.
New Year's Day.
I think you can
But
keep
not
your
the
tree.
not the decor, the lights and stuff.
Yeah.
Get that stuff out of there.
No, you can keep
I'm
everything
with
up.
Lights around the house.
Yeah.
Can you?
You can keep
I'm
those
with that.
up
I don't,
until
I don't touch anything until
New Year's?
if
New
you've
Year's.
if you still have it up on January 3rd though, you're beyond due. You need to take it down.
Okay. All right. I can.
No, I don't mind. If you want to take it down on December 26th, go for it.
I think we do.
I'm okay with that.
I think we because
But
it's like
I'm not going to call foul if you still have it up on like the 29th or the 30th.
To me, it's like planning something on your last day of vacation. Is how it feels. Like, oh, our flight's at 4, but I thought we could go do this saltwater scuba expedition before we go. I just want to go. We're done. Vacation's over. Let's just go. Let's pack our stuff and just get out of here. I'm not trying to jam in one more day at Disneyland before we hit the plane.
So you're like next day, like December 26th?
Yeah, we're next day. We are, and maybe even there might be some putting down of later in the evening. I think Hannah's pretty good about doing that. But yeah, I think once it's over, you don't want to be reminded of it. You know, you got 365 days till the next Christmas, and you do it. But no, it's definitely holiday season. I
Put
think
it
that's
this
great.
way,
I think
Pauly,
it's the one holiday, though, that does get a little leeway as far
There's
as
some leeway.
going beyond the holiday.
Pre
Like,
and post.
there's not a whole, like, no, you don't put your Halloween decorations away, like, immediately after Halloween.
Yeah, you don't want them up today.
Put it this way, Pauly. When you're taking down your Christmas decorations, you will be about 2 weeks away from fantasy camp.
Yeah.
And about a month away from spring training.
Oh my God!
So,
yes.
you put them up now. You're basically carrying yourself to the start of the next baseball season with Christmas season. You're filling that empty hole
Maybe
with
that's
Christmas.
subconsciously. Like I thought I was doing something to make Megan happy. She'll come home. She has no idea what's going on. This is great. Everything looks nice. But in my mind, maybe subconsciously, I'm like, Christmas decorations are up. That means fantasy camp's right around the corner. That means baseball season's right around the corner.
Oh, I can't wait already. Season just ended. It sucked. It was a tough season. But
It's the first time ever I think I've really just been like, I was maybe not glad, but more relieved when the final out was made yesterday and the season was over, because this season sucked.
There was not a lot of joy. Fernando Tatis Jr. stealing home brought me some joy.
It's tough because the best part of the season came after the season was pretty much over. When they won 14 of their last 16 games, they had walk-offs, they won an extra innings.
How many highlights?
All the
highlights.
All
of the season
real
are there?
highlight moments came when you felt like this is too late to do any good,
Which
and it
makes
turned
it
out to
not
be
much
true.
of a highlight to me.
Yeah, that makes it not much fun or a highlight.
Think about it. Opening day wasn't that great. Didn't work out too well for us.
It was terrible.
Fernando coming back was fun. I was at that game, so maybe that just has some sentimental value. Back in May,
it didn't bring
him
a lot.
Stealing was great.
It didn't bring a lot of joy to the city. Winning on Monday, losing on Tuesday. Winning on Wednesday, losing on Thursday.
Snell was fun to watch every 5 days.
Yeah,
but
even that was nerve wracking.
He didn't have
half
any
the
walk-offs.
time.
You know, he had a
couple
two.
walk-offs. Yeah, it was horrible.
They just didn't have I feel like in 22, 10 moments where you're like, easily that's a highlight of the season.
There were so many days in 22 where I woke up on a Monday and was like frothing at the mouth to come in here and talk about the team. They lost every Sunday game, I'm convinced, because we had to come in here and talk about.
I know you feel that way. It was not true.
I know
but,
it was more like 500, I think, but I'm pretty sure they lost every Sunday game. And it was just didn't bring a lot of joy. And I'm looking forward to flushing that, getting back at it, trying to get a positive mindset about this team moving forward. It's hard every day. New article drops about dysfunction and
so
and
much
everything
has
else
to change with the roster,
Yeah.
the rotation.
There's a
You're
lot.
Like, we have 2 pitchers.
Yeah,
You know?
there's a
Like,
lot
There's
to-
so many question marks. I can't even let myself think too much about next season because you would hope the roster is a little bit different.
Well, 4 more days and moves can be made, right? So that would be, is that business days or is that actual just days?
I'm not sure.
5 days from yesterday or 5 days from today?
I'm not sure, but you'll have to make your qualifying offers. Obviously, Blake Snell will get one. We can talk about this coming up.
Yeah, let's do
But
that.
what are the first moves that the Padres will be making this offseason? We'll get to that. We're also giving away some San Diego State, Utah State tickets in our next segment for a homecoming Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. Stay tuned for your chance to win. Coming up next after a check of traffic with Bennett Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. It's a Throwback Thursday here on Ben and Woods. Scotino Saris joining us at the bottom of the hour, about to give away some San Diego State football tickets. But
lucky you guys.
Paulie's got a throwback moment for us, and he teased it. And I certainly remember this happening, but the specifics elude me. So, Paulie, what do we have?
Let's see. How do I want to start this off? So we've played this clip before. It was this week in 2019, and something happened in the middle of an interview, which was funny. But what made me laugh was more who we were talking to and what it was all about and all of that. Let's play the clip first. This was November 2019.
Those are generally more less competitive leagues where that ad shouldn't be really happening. But it's still one of those things where again, rules and understanding the rules are such a key component of fantasy football because you can't control anything else.
Talking to Joe Bartel here on Ben and Woods. I don't know if you heard my partner's coffee cup just fly across the room.
We were talking fantasy football with Joe Bartel.
Can I ask one question? Why?
We have changed as a show. We have evolved.
A lot of people play fantasy football. It's not. It's a tough interview sometimes.
Yeah, do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I reached in
who
my
do
wallet.
I start this week?
Well, who's on your team?
I know that no one else has my exact team, but please tell me what I need to do.
You're really
Zay
wrecking
Flowers?
an entire industry right now.
I'm not. It's a fine industry, but
those are generally more less competitive leagues where that ad shouldn't be really happening. But it's
why didn't Joe stop and go?
What was that? Plowed right through it.
I always appreciate a good fullback. Just keep going no matter what is going on around you.
I was looking through the archives, though, and it just says Ben's coffee cup spills during interview, which is
so
funny.
good.
And I listened to that, and I go, good God, we were doing fantasy football interviews 4 years ago?
First, I had the loudest coffee cup of all time right there.
less competitive leagues where that ad shouldn't be really happening.
Butterfingers.
Like, did you take it and just start beating the microphone with your
Sounds like it.
thermos?
I'm looking at Joe Bartel's Twitter page.
I was going to say, well,
Paul
it's too late now. I was
offered
gonna give you
$5. Yeah,
if you could guess what outlet Joe Bartel.
I was going to say
RotoWire.
I was going to say the Action Network, but I don't think that they do fantasy. So
Woodsy was right.
RotoWire.
Just looked it up.
His page.
I didn't know if he was still there or not. But
you don't get the $5. You looked it up. That's cheating.
That is cheating. But wow, that was 4 years ago.
Yeah. And I feel like that was we brought that over with us from the old station because that was definitely.
Look what we can do.
That was
Adam.
definitely demanded of us to do fantasy football interviews.
Adam, I know that there was a bit of consternation about bringing us over. Have we told you, though? We're also bringing Joe Bartel from RotoWire with us, if that helps.
I know nobody really even wanted us.
Right.
Let alone our guests.
You don't hire Ben and Woods for Ben and Woods. You hire us for Joe Bartel.
Do people find it fascinating what other people should do with their fantasy teams at all?
I couldn't care less.
Like
I play fantasy. I never talk about it because no one cares.
You've got Josh Dobbs or, Ryan Tannehill, and who do I start this week?
Like, I haven't played fantasy football in years.
Is there an intellectual
automatic
exercise? I wonder who I would choose.
It's an automatic turn
if that was
off
me.
for anybody
Now,
in the car
by
that
the way,
does not have a fantasy football team. And I grew up listening to, like, Softy up in Seattle was my guy. And he had a fantasy football every week. And I would suffer through it hoping that somebody would call in or text in and have one of the same players. Hey, Des Bryant, start or sit.
If you have a fantasy football show that runs on Friday from 6 to 7, I'm all for it. That may be a thing that I could listen to and say, yeah. But to break down, in the morning, people are driving to work, they're about to slog through their day. You're like, hey, hang on, guys. We're going to talk about other people's fantasy football teams coming up next. Never made sense to me.
Ads shouldn't be really happening.
Unless that happens during
I
football
think there are certain things that everyone's interested in. Is there a guy who's probably on 95% of waiver wires that you should be claiming right now? That's a service that would help people who are in fantasy football.
Yeah, tune into the Fantasy Football Podcast with Boomer and Valenti or whoever.
Follow
it may be.
your favorite fantasy football experts
Insider.
on social media.
Yeah. I mean, like I play fantasy golf, which is weird, but I don't have Jason Sobel on to do my picks for me. It's just a weird.
He knows what he's talking about.
He does. He's great. I lean on him a lot.
And
But
it's just a tough radio thing to do because
it's a punt. It's what it is. It's a punt. It's a time filler. Let's be honest with what it is.
Like the one that I listened to growing up when I was in high school, they would have listeners either call in
With
or
their
text
teams,
in their concerns.
Yeah, Mike
and their
wants to know
questions. Right.
starter sit
And
Terrell
that's
Owens.
tough. And then if you just come on and you're listening to the hosts go through their fantasy football matchups, that's boring. It doesn't seem like a win. I'm glad we moved past
Me
that.
too. The only thing that made that interview interesting at all was Ben fumbling his
Ads shouldn't be really happening.
He didn't even address it. He just goes right through it. It's so good.
Those are generally more less competitive
You
leagues
can hear
where
a smile,
that ads
maybe.
shouldn't be really happening. But it's still one of those things where again.
Oh, that's fantastic, dude. Anthony says bring back the fantasy football interviews. It's not happening.
No.
It's not going to happen.
So I saw that the San Diego State is trying to fill up Snapdragon Stadium a little more for the last couple of games by lowering ticket prices. They're giving free tickets away to
Here
season
on the
ticket.
station.
Season ticket members can claim, I think, 2 additional free tickets for the remaining games. But if you'd like to claim 2 free tickets for Saturday's game against Utah State, you can do so right now because we're giving them away at 833-288-0973. Call now, be the third caller. We'll give you a pair of tickets to SDSU, Utah State, Saturday Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets are available affordably, I think, at goaztecs.com as they're, it's a tough sell this year with the team at 3-5. This is pretty much a must-win game if you want to have any hopes of going to a bowl game. I don't see them winning their last 3 in a row the way they've been playing. So you kind of got to get this one. I think Utah State's also 3-5. So this is kind of a bowl elimination sort of game for both of them that they're going to have to win. So if you haven't checked out Snapdragon Stadium, I do like the facility quite a bit, and it's definitely worth going. If you got free tickets, it's definitely worth going down and checking out Snapdragon Stadium. So call now, 833-288-0973, and Paulie will give you a couple of tickets during the break here for the Aztecs and Aggies on Saturday. And then on Monday, they have their first basketball game at Viejas Arena.
Now we're talking.
That will be packed, I would
exciting,
think, to
yes.
see a Final Four banner going up. Paul, you're a San Diego State alum.
I was texting with some friends yesterday, asked who's going to be there on Monday. I said just 7:30 tip-offs all the way down at Viejas Arena is just not a good combination for me personally, but I will be watching.
Absolutely be tuned in.
You know, I've been to plenty of games down there, and while you absolutely should be proud of a Mountain West championship banner or a Mountain West tournament title banner or a couple of Sweet 16 banners that they have up there, Final Four banner hits a little different when that goes up.
What is it going to say?
That's
is
a
it Final
big one.
Four? Do you say national champion runner-ups?
don't
Do you
know.
acknowledge getting to the title game? Or
Even
is
the
it just
title game.
I think Final Four.
Final
You just
Four.
leave it at Final Four.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like you're
And you hope,
shortchanged,
but you hope you add a few more.
Correct.
In the coming years, that you get a couple more Final
one
Four
banner,
banners.
Final Four appearances, one banner national title appearance. I don't know, but it does feel a little bit like we didn't just get to the Final Four,
Right, they
Which
won a
is
game in the Final Four.
amazing, by the way. Like I was not sure I'd ever see them get to the Final Four, but you are shortchanging yourself just a little, I think.
Indeed.
All right, we'll come back with Eno Saris, our final smart baseball segment of the year as we wrap up the World Series and the Texas Rangers taking the title next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. About to head out to Arizona. I believe Saris was at the game last night, so you had a first-hand look at the Texas Rangers winning the title, scratching their name off that list of teams that don't have one. We went through it yesterday and today. Padres now one of just 5 teams without a World Series title, but going to wrap up how they got it done. And I'm curious to know if Eno agrees with me that there's no team more similar in baseball to the San Diego Padres than the Texas Rangers in how they were built, kind of players that they have, payroll, things like that.
Minus the young, controllable talent, I think I would agree with you. They also spent a lot of money, and we spent a lot of money. I think the similarities may end there.
I mean, they fell into deeper depths than the Padres as well. Well, we'll get to it after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Emergency crews are on scene of a crash involving a motorcycle northbound 5 just before 28th Street. They've got that left lane blocked. Had a collision on eastbound 8 just before Fletcher Parkway. That's got the slow lane blocked. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, not a lot of people predicted the Texas Rangers were going to lift the World Series trophy at the end of this year, but that's why they play the games.
I certainly didn't. I really didn't think they had it in them, to be honest with you. I wonder if Eno did.
I certainly, when the Padres were sweeping the Rangers a couple of months ago, they didn't look like World Series champions at all, but we are joined right now by Eno Saris from The Athletic with us here for our Smart Baseball segment. Hello, Eno.
Hey, guys.
Good to talk to you, my friend. I did just see a tweet that said only 1.9% of bets were on Texas to win it all in the preseason at BetMGM. So about 2% of bettors picking their World Series champions picked the Texas Rangers. I didn't see it. I really didn't.
And those were probably people who thought, I think Jacob deGrom is going to have a healthy season. He's going to be there all year.
Exactly.
And, they didn't see it. No one saw it happening this way,
Yeah. The odds were astronomical against this particular matchup, and also I think I saw something like 1,800 to 1 or something.
Yeah,
It was pretty intense. So, I didn't think. But once the playoffs got going, I think the lessons are boring, but important, which is the get in. That's how you win. You get into the playoffs. And then once you get in, anything can happen. And so, that's I think that the Texas lineup was the thing that prevailed in the end too. People talk about pitching and defense. This was not the matchup of the best pitching staffs in baseball. So it just proves to you that there are different ways to win, and that a great offense is good enough to win it all.
And the other thing is, and they alluded to it on the broadcast last night, that what once was a weakness, the glaring weakness of the Texas Rangers when the playoffs roll around, became strength, and that's the bullpen. And, I saw last night, you want to talk about moxie, guts, whatever you want to say, throwing Aroldis Chapman in, who has had some struggles, throwing him in a one-run game and then getting out of it, knowing when to pull him for s'mores, I thought was a brilliant move by Bruce Bochy. You know why it's brilliant? Because it worked. That's why it was a brilliant move. And watching that was like, oh my God, you knew right then. No, they got it in the bag. It was like magic happened when he got out of it.
But it made us scratch our heads in the stands a little bit, because he brought Spores on for 3 straight lefties.
Yes.
They were switch hitters, but he brought Spores on for 3 straight lefties. So it was basically, he took Chapman out because Chapman did what he's been doing, which is, had no command at all.
Yep.
And so he saw these guys step into the plate they weren't swinging for the first 2 or 3 pitches. They were just letting him get into bad counts. And so I think he just went to Spores because of the command. And another thing that's interesting is Spores, threw his curveball 20% of the time during the regular season. and in the postseason he threw it like 45% of the time. And it's little things like that that suggest to me that there is something important about game day prep, and that there might be a difference between teams about how good they are at advanced scouting and turning that into, actionable items on the field. Another way I thought of that was, if you remember, Brandon Pfaadt was pretty terrible during the season. He had a 5.7 ERA. But over the course of the season, he added a sinker, he changed his place on the rubber, and then he just had a great postseason run where he was finally putting together all his different pitches in ways that people weren't ready for because they hadn't scouted him. They hadn't seen him do those things. So it suggests to me that there is still a difference between teams on how good they are on game day and how good they are at coaching their players.
Talking to Eno Saris from The Athletic here on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. And it feels to me like it wasn't that long ago that the Rangers were being criticized for spending big money on the wrong players who weren't really helping the way that they thought they were going to help. And now I feel like the Padres are that team that have spent irresponsibly, and you get the story about taking out a loan to meet financial obligations. And I look at these two organizations, and they don't seem like they're that far apart. I mean, the Padres had better starting pitching this year than the Rangers, had a better bullpen than the Rangers, played better defense than the Rangers. Obviously, the Rangers had much deeper hitting and got more contributions from some of their young players, which the Padres will need to be successful. But I look at these franchises, and I see a lot of similarities. How do you view it?
I mean, there's even links, between Preller and the Rangers and sort of historical links. But I think one of the biggest differences might be the ones who remained. So Preller has traded away so many prospects that they do. You can't say they don't have any young players that made it through. Campy was important, and Campusano was a guy that Preller did not want to trade, and I think he was proved correct in the fact that Campusano's been good, but the Rangers kept more. They had Young, they had Ezekiel Duran, they had Evan Carter. They had more young players that balanced out their veteran players that they'd spent so much on. So, if is that a critique of Preller, or is there still time for somebody like Jackson Merrill or one of the other young guys to come up and form that young side of the team that has been kind of missing during this Padres run?
Talking to Eno Saris from The Athletic. You work for The Athletic. I love The Athletic. I'm a subscriber, have been since its inception. I did yesterday when I saw the headline that came out that Evan wrote and Ken Rosenthal and Dennis Lynn. I said, oh, crap, right? My initial reaction was, oh, boy, here we go again. It's not uncommon, I guess, what the Padres have done, and I'm not trying to make any excuses for. They've made some weird moves. I'll give you that. They've signed some players they probably didn't need to sign, extended some players they maybe haven't needed to extend. What was your kind of overall take? Why is that article being written about the San Diego Padres yesterday?
Yeah, for anybody who missed it, I mean, it's just that they had to take out a loan to cover their expenses. Once you take out a loan to cover expenses, you start running into debt servicing rules, and there are rules in the collective bargaining agreement that say that you can only have so much in your payroll or only spend so much if you have so much debt. So there's, a relationship between spending and the debt you have on hand.
Sure.
They don't want owners to go bankrupt. And so the like Chicken Little version of this is the type of thing that got McCord in trouble. This is the type of thing that got the Wilpons in trouble. This is the type of thing that got Hicks in trouble in Texas before he was gone. So, this is on the road to ruin.
Oh,
I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to say like it's nothing. It is, however, somewhat common. There are teams that get waivers on the debt to servicing ratio. There is a conversation between the commissioner's office and teams about, what's your plan? How are you going to get out of this? And I think the big one for the Padres is just figure out the TV deal. because that is a huge amount of cash that you depend on that is gone thanks to Bally's, and thanks to, all these RSNs going belly up. So
do they have options though? Like what it feels like the options are like we were talking about it earlier when we broke down this article, that those aren't around. Like there's not going to be suitors, knocking on the door, different RSNs wanting to make their best pitch to CEO Eric Greutner and the owner to say, "Oh, we'll do 60. Well, we'll do 75." It just
right. No, it's a time of tremendous change, and we've seen other sports go back to like an old school model where it's just for free on the local, Fox channel or whatever. It's just on Channel 2 or whatever. That's actually happened in Utah. The Jazz, I think, are just on regular TV. So, that's a crazy idea. I think that most baseball teams would want to avoid that, because then you're just depending on the advertising money on that channel, and you don't have this nice lump sum of like, we're going to get 50 million or we're going to get 75, and it becomes a bigger deal. I think what's going to happen in baseball is, and we've already seen a little bit of this, where baseball takes over the production, and baseball does the TV and sells it through MLB TV. And so again, it's not probably a lump sum thing, but at least it's centralized. It's a relationship with baseball proper. And it's sort of easy for the consumer. It's just like, oh yeah, MLB TV. That's like everyone's cutting the cord. Everyone's, a lot of people are going to be able to stream that in the same place on their smart TVs the way that they, got the RSNs before. So I kind of think that's where baseball is headed. It's already kind of happened with I think it was the Diamondbacks. I think baseball took over production of the Diamondbacks games this year. So there's already sort of precedent for that.
Yeah, and Woods kind of looked kind of pale when you said road to ruin, and you brought up those other owners. But I will point out that you mentioned Frank McCourt and the Wilpons and Hicks. It's not as though the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Rangers were never heard from again after they made some bad decisions and were never competitive in the history of baseball again. Yeah, it wasn't great for the owners at the time, but it doesn't mean that even if the Padres make bad decisions, it doesn't doom you forever. That's just part of being an owner in sports right now.
And those owners, if you kind of read between the lines, those owners were very particular. Like they had their own issues. Like it wasn't just baseball. McCourt had the whole family divorce. That was real messy. The Wilpons had the Ponzi scheme, so like it wasn't just baseball that was going on there.
It does, and the other thing, obviously, we talked about is when you see that news and you look at the contracts that have already been given out. The guys are going to be here for a while. You couldn't get out of them if you wanted to, honestly, without eating a ton of salary, which apparently you don't have. Juan Soto, the extension, the need to keep the left-handed power of Juan Soto, a really, really good player, a great player, in fact, on this roster for years to come. When you read that article, does that change anything about your perception of what they may do with Juan Soto? I feel like I'm being buttered up right now for a Juan Soto trade.
Yeah, I kind of felt that too. And I think, what it does is it gives some teeth to the rumors that they have to stay under 220 or whatever. Yeah. Because, we've had these rumors before, they got to cut payroll, and then they kind of blow through it. And so, there's been some fan reaction to this round being like, no, whatever, they're going to spend whatever they're going to spend to be competitive. But, if they're running afoul of these debt servicing rules and the commissioner's office, maybe there's some teeth to this idea. It has to be under 220. If it has to be under 220, they have like $25 million to spend, basically. And, my prescription for them would be to just use money to find pitching, pick up Walker if you have to. That's 16. Then you have 9, 10, 15, maybe 15 million to get 2 other starters and a reliever. I mean, you start running out of money real quick. So I think that's why you end up saying something like, well, we'll trade Soto for controllable young starting pitching, maybe throw in a reliever, and then we can use money to buy, just like a corner platoon outfielder that we put into the mix and DH and in the corner outfield, and we figured that lineup slot out with platoons and less money, So, that could be the idea, the thinking there.
I will also point out that the Padres knew about all of these financial situations and still do know more than the rest of us know about all of this, and they've always been very clear that their hope and intention is to sign Juan Soto to a long-term contract. I can't imagine this is all shocking to the Padres. Like, where did the money go? They kind of have a plan, and if they didn't, I would be surprised that Peter is faithful in AJ Preller. If AJ completely said, "Yay, we've got this plan. Oh, we don't have the money for it." So I think we're still missing a few pieces of information here.
Yeah, and $50 million as a loan sounds like a lot, but it's also kind of around the error bars around a TV deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
The TV deals are like $50 million to $100 million a year, depending on the market. So, if that's just really kind of a TV shortfall, then maybe they were really close, and maybe the discussion with the commissioner's office is, hey, help us figure out this TV thing. And that Manfred is really, really concerned about this issue. Like, it's definitely probably the number one thing on his plate in terms of figuring this out for baseball, because it's going to happen to all the teams, even the ones that haven't lost their valleys or whatever. Like, people are definitely cutting the cord, and it's not, the RSN model doesn't really work anymore.
We got to thank you for the entire season. It's been fantastic.
Incredible,
We've really
man.
enjoyed Thursdays with you, and I know our Tier 1s have really enjoyed having you on as well. So for all you've done for us all summer long, gracias mucho. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I'll see you guys at the winter meetings, and I'll come on some still.
Well, we look forward to it, man, very much.
Thanks,
you are
appreciate you.
best segment of the week, man. Really appreciate you.
All right, thanks, guys.
The great Eno Saris, everyone.
That was Eno Saris, sponsored by 7 Mile Casino, featuring all of your favorite table games like California-style blackjack, poker, and baccarat. Just 7 minutes from the ballpark.
Eno and all of our guests appearing on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
I hate saying goodbye. We've said goodbye to a bunch of guys this week. It sucks.
But it's not for long. We'll have them all back on next season, I'm sure.
I guess.
And it's not that far. It's right around the corner. Immediately around the corner, though, Ryler Report, Chris Stapleton ticket giveaway, and more. Ben and Woods ahead on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Got some people tweeting us a picture of our beloved Fernando Tatis
scared
Jr.
the hell out of me.
sitting at the top of a beautiful vista mountain. He was on a hike.
Is he wearing one of those wing suits and he's about to jump off?
He's not. All right, so just to calm everybody down, he is not base jumping. He's not free-forming, climbing up Half Dome with bag of chalk at his side. You know,
you made it
find
sound.
the
no, I
toe
didn't.
holds
I
as
just
he's
said he's
going
scaling a mountain. He scaled a mountain. He's on a beautiful
He's got
long
his
hike.
pitons with him.
I pulled out my phone immediately. I went to his Instagram and I was like, "Oh god, he's got chalk on his hand. And he's like climbing up a."
Fernando, no.
No, he's on a hike.
He's on a hike. He went on a hike. It looks like he's taking a little pull off a flask. Good for him.
I'm sure it's just hydration. It's very dry.
He's of age. He can have a.
Is
shot
there
of
any idea
whiskey.
where this hike is taking place?
I think it's in Dominican. It's
Dominican?
beautiful. God, it's beautiful.
Is that a beautiful country? Have you been?
Beautiful. No, but I'm just looking at the picture. It's beautiful where he
Sure,
is.
it's not Mount Helix or anything local.
It's top of Torrey Pines. Yeah, here's the music. Beautiful. Just somebody took a picture of him. He taking a little pull off this thing, and
Sounds like he wasn't watching Game 5 of the World Series last night.
this is just recent. This is 42 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Guys, getting his work in, man. He's on. He's getting that. Somebody tweeted he's on his Bear Grylls stuff again. Great. He's searching. He's searching and getting some exercise. I'm all for it. I think it's great. Yeah, like Paulie said, as long as he's not free form or base jumping or anything like that, we're good. He's allowed to walk up a hill, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that would probably still be in the contract. Allowable to go for a
Can I walk?
a stroll over uneven terrain. Would
Correct.
you like him to remain on sidewalks?
A treadmill.
Paved
for the
roads?
entire 4 months.
You can get hurt yourself on a treadmill
You
too, though.
absolutely can. You absolutely. You can hurt yourself cheering for a baseball team.
I've
It's
done
happened
that
to
too.
You tore your ACL or
Maybe he
something.
shouldn't be allowed to watch games.
It's great. It's great.
All right. I did see the Padres have officially interviewed Benjamin Benji Gill, for their open managerial job. Apparently that took place earlier this week. So chalk him up as another of the official interviewees for the open job. And now that the baseball season is over, you can imagine that the Padres can wrap up their search and announce a manager. I don't know that it'll happen today, but probably in the coming days, AJ and the team will come to a decision and we'll get an introduction and a press conference, of course. If that happens, stay tuned to 97.3 The Fan. We will have that for you live, and any breaking news, we will always get it to you pretty much immediately. Did want to go through what's the timeline? So it's 5 days. Teams have to decide on free agents whether they get a qualifying offer or not.
Correct.
Blake Snell will clearly get one.
Yes.
Because if you give a qualifying offer and they turn it down, you get a compensatory draft pick. Now, you can't offer it to everybody, though, because the qualifying offer is generally like a 1 year,
It's like
19
19.5 or
million, somewhere
18.5,
around
yeah.
there. Yeah. And if you offer it to a guy who wasn't going to make that, they go, yeah, I'll take that. And then you're locked into a 1 year deal. You can't rescind the offer. So you give it to the guys who are looking for the multi-year, big-time contracts, and Blake Snell, certainly one of those. So he'll get a qualifying offer. If he does go somewhere else, Padres will get a compensatory draft pick on that. Make those decisions, and then free agency opens, pretty quickly here, and you'll start, you probably won't see a ton of early signings, but the general manager meetings are next week.
This is the Brian O'Grady time of year.
That,
right?
Like, what do you mean?
This is like, remember when we signed BOG before we went and signed everyone
the
a few years ago?
pre-signing.
Yeah, this is like we're going to take a shot at BOG. I'm not saying he will get signed. I'm saying players of that ilk.
Usually some of the groundwork for free agent signings and trades gets laid down at the general managers meetings.
Sure.
And then the winter meetings, which are next month, that's when some of the bigger moves tend to happen around there. Although we've had off seasons where they don't happen until February. Others, sometimes they happen before the winter meetings start.
When are the GM meetings? Next week?
Monday. Yeah, they start
okay.
Monday, I think, in Arizona.
Okay.
And then
Winter meetings
and
in
then
Nashville.
the winter meetings in Nashville in December.
Okay, good.
So keeping an eye on
We're
that.
going, said he would see us out there.
He did say he would
Yeah.
see us. Does he know something that we don't
Well, I
know?
think he's footing the bill for us to come join
Adam.
us
That's great.
out there in Nashville.
Wait.
Now you guys want to go to the winter meetings?
Wait.
The Trip a Month Club.
Yeah,
Ben and Woods.
just trying to bring great coverage to our fans. It's not selfish thing. Who would want to go to Nashville? I mean, it's the winter. Like, it's going to be cold.
It's awful.
Just do it here every year. Keep it easy. Look at it outside. It's fantastic. What are we doing? You don't have to mix it up.
Just
put
keep
it
it
here. Keep
every
it
year.
here every year. Do the All-Star game here every year. There's no reason not to. It's America's perfect city right here in San Diego.
All right, speaking of managerial interviewees, Paulie's got some more news for us in the Reindl Report.
All right.
All right. Saying no sound in the YouTube, Paulie.
Oh, they just missed the intro. Gotcha.
Oh, okay. Got it.
All right, gentlemen. Let's start off. We'll pay off the tease there. New York Mets looking for a manager, and they interviewed.
Why are you laughing?
Come on. Joel Sherman, insider out of New York, he wrote in the New York Post yesterday that the Mets have interviewed former Padres manager Andy Green to be potentially Buck Showalter's replacement.
Now, he went and was the bench coach this year for the Chicago Cubs, correct?
Currently still the bench coach for the Chicago Cubs. Managed here, 20... How many years was he here? 3 years?
He was here from 2016 through 2019. 4 years,
Wow.
yeah.
A long time.
Yeah, longest tenured of the
AJ Preller
AJ
hires.
Preller careers. Andy.
Now, a lot of managers do get a
He's
second
great.
job.
That was great.
They don't get fired and then never get another chance. A lot of managers get a second opportunity. Some even become better at managing because of that first opportunity.
Don't worry, I'm leaving, Joe. You can go call another call now.
Brilliant.
That'll go over
Are we
really
gonna
well in
if,
New York.
If the Mets hire Andy Green and then go on and win the World Series next year with Andy Green as manager,
Par for the course.
what are we going to do?
I'll retire. I'm retired. I'm pulling a mad dog. He is not. I'm speaking for Met fans here. He's not a name that you probably had on your short list, and B, I don't know that it excites you much. Could do a fantastic job. Anything's possible, certainly. But I think if you're the New York Mets, Steve Cohen, don't you tried a name in Buck Showalter? It really didn't work at all. But if you're a Met fan, are you like, hell yes, Andy Green is here? What could he do with some resources, some better players? We'll never know. I mean, maybe we will know if he
Isn't the best strategy in baseball, though, to hire anyone who used to be with the Padres?
Yes. Yeah.
That seems like it's
Sign
a
them,
winning
play
strategy.
them.
Sign them, coach, have them coach, manage, GM, whatever. As long as they pass through the San Diego Padres at some point, you're likely getting someone who's going to take you to great
Maybe the
heights.
Padres can ask the Rangers for permission to interview Bruce Bochy.
Bruce Bochy.
Just see if there's any interest.
Just to see.
Never know.
You never know.
I don't know. Former Rangers, I don't think, have had a lot of success here in San Diego.
I would go the other way.
That's the problem. We just need more former Padres back on the Padres.
I have nothing against Andy Green. I really don't. Maybe he will manage again someday. I can't see that move going over very well with
I can't
New
either.
Yorkers.
Like, imagine sports talk radio there if it's Andy Green.
Aaron Boone, whether you think he's a good manager, bad manager, whatever, he fits the persona.
He had
a little bit.
no experience managing when they hired him as manager of the Yankees,
Sure.
correct?
But he was
not a day.
He had a legendary moment in a Yankees uniform.
Jake Cronenworth, the next manager of the San Diego Padres.
It is a legendary moment.
Legendary moment.
Never know. Maybe. All right, we'll move on. Still in baseball here with the conclusion of the World Series yesterday. Of course, when you flip over to ESPN.com, you're going to see the way too early odds to win the 2024 World Series.
These are great, just like the power rankings. Don't get upset on where we fall, Ben.
Where would you think the Padres fall?
12th.
Still top 10, maybe?
Okay.
10?
I say 12th.
So obviously some teams have the same number of odds, but if you just went down the list, they're 10th. The
Yep.
favorites are the Atlanta Braves,
Okay.
13-2.
By that, yep.
Followed by the Dodgers, 7-1. The
Okay.
Astros and the Rangers, both 9-1 odds. Phillies, 10-1.
Okay.
Then it drops off a little bit.
The usual suspects.
Rays and Yankees, 15-1. And then the old Padres, 16-1 odds, along with the Orioles and the Blue Jays.
Where are the Giants?
Where are the Diamondbacks?
Where are
We're
the
just in the
Diamondbacks?
World Series.
Giants are at 40-1.
Wow. Okay.
Diamondbacks are just behind the Padres. The Mariners are right behind the Padres at 20-1, and then there's the Diamondbacks at 25-1. The Mets and Twins also 25-1.
So odds makers just watch that postseason and say clearly the Padres still are a better team than
the
the
Diamondbacks. Yeah, and the interesting thing, there were I saw some people tweeting about it last night, specifically Diamondbacks fans, saying, all right, man, now it's time. So we've shown you what you can do. You need to, ownership, go out and spend some money. You got to go out and spend some money. You got to bring some of the guys back because they have some impending free agents as well. But you have to go out now that you've seen. Now, this happened to us, right? Made it to the NLCS, not the World Series, but made it to the NLCS. And they went out and spent money, and it didn't go well. So I wonder if we are now a cautionary tale for the Diamondbacks to be able to say, well, we saw what the Padres did. We're not going to go throw good money after bad. And, there's no guarantee you're going to get back to the World Series, even if you do spend money.
No, the odds are you take a step back the next year. The combination of the added wear and tear that you went through in all of October into November playing baseball tends to take a bit of a toll the following season.
And that's only, in your opinion, for the final two, maybe? Because all the other teams were all mostly playoff teams. And they're still picked. The Braves are still picked to.
Well, I mean, it's simple math, too. When you were the number 2 team out of 30 in baseball, there's only one spot you can go up, and there are 28 spots you can go down to next year and have a worse season.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, those odds they sound normal to me. Somebody is going to be an outlier. Maybe 2 or 3 teams will be outliers, as we saw this year. No one expected some of these teams to
Who
make
would
the
be
playoffs.
next year's Arizona Diamondbacks?
Good question, man.
Who's the most likely candidate to kind of come out of nowhere and get to a World Series next season?
It's a good question. The M's, the Mariners, maybe, and they're middle of the pack.
I feel like they were hyped up too much already to be the next Arizona.
Well, when you've got players openly, now you've seen a team in your division win it.
All right, so this is crazy.
You said
Pirates.
the Giants.
Are you out of your mind?
I know, kind of crazy.
Win a World Series?
No, not
or go
win,
to one World Series?
but be the team out of nowhere. The Pirates won 76 games. The Diamondbacks won 84. Could they increase 8 wins and then go on an incredible playoff run because they get hot? Got some good young players.
They do.
Get a full season of some of your rising stars.
They're not going to spend much at all.
Neither did the Diamondbacks. Make a good trade somewhere like Dalton Varsho for, Gabriel Moreno, and
that's a stretch.
It is a stretch. Well, if you're not stretching, you're not finding the next Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
You're just making a prediction.
Mariners might be too. They might be too good.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but I would say the Pirates are the closest equivalent right now.
I just don't know
to what the Diamondbacks.
I don't know enough about what they have and what they're bringing back and what they've got coming up.
Guardians. I mean, they won 76, but they've been too up, I'd say, to be the Diamondbacks. They're not out of nowhere if they do that. Tigers, maybe 78 and 84.
Maybe
they make the jump up and they're in the World Series
Guardians,
next year.
Pirates, and Tigers all at 60-1 odds.
60-1.
And then
what were the Diamondbacks
last
though?
group?
What were the
last year?
Heading into this year?
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't know.
Got to be.
I'm gonna see if I can find that.
Got to be a lot. That's interesting.
Teams at the bottom of the 2024 list: the Nationals, Royals, and White Sox all 100-1 odds. A's and Rockies 150-1.
I would be confident in not betting on the A's.
And then while Benny looks that up, holiday season is upon us.
Yes.
Thanksgiving coming up in a couple of weeks, followed by Christmas, of course. And with the holidays comes the food. We talked about Thanksgiving pizza.
Yes,
from DiGiorno's yesterday. I think it was a Tier 1 topic wheel question earlier in the week. What is your favorite dessert? So we talked about Thanksgiving pizza. What are you gonna You need a dessert after your Thanksgiving pizza.
Pumpkin pie.
Nope. Baskin Robbins is announcing their new flavor of the month, and it's called Turkey Day Fixins.
Gross. Is it, though? Hold on, let me hear it before I judge.
Ice cream.
Okay, and?
Combines flavors of sweet potato, autumn spice, mixes in sweet chunks of honey cornbread with tart swirls of cranberry sauce.
Don't want cornbread in my ice cream.
It is
Corn's
available.
not the worst flavor. Sweet corn is not bad.
Honey cornbread.
Corn, chunks of cornbread in your
Is
ice
there
cream.
actual cornbread in there?
Actual cornbread.
It's not just the flavor of
So,
cornbread.
when we stayed downtown a couple months ago, we went to Cali Cream for some ice cream, and they had an apple pie ice cream, which
Delicious.
I tried it. It was amazing,
Yeah.
and it had like chunks of
crust.
like pie crust
That's
mixed
pretty
in.
good.
So I'm thinking it's going to be the same kind of thing, but with cornbread.
Maybe it would be good.
It's available now
I'd
at
try
Baskin
it.
Robbins.
I
It's
think I'd
their
try it.
flavor of their month, available nationwide.
Okay, what's it called?
Turkey Day Fixins.
All right.
As long as there's no turkey, actually.
Gravy.
No
gravy,
turkey.
Gravy base.
Don't want any turkey in my ice cream.
Again,
Don't want any green beans in my ice
The
cream.
description is
Deviled eggs?
The description is combining flavors of sweet potato, autumn spice.
I don't like sweet potato.
With mixing in sweet chunks of honey cornbread, tart
I mean,
swirls
sweet potato
of
is something that
cranberry.
is actually in dessert. Sweet potato pie is
Correct.
a real dessert.
And I wouldn't know because I wouldn't eat the filthy MFer. Sewer rat
one
may taste
charming-
like pumpkin pie.
Or sweet
One
potato
charming
pie.
pumpkin pie.
All right, I've found the odds for the Arizona Diamondbacks for last year going into the season. I will share those
Is
with
it
you coming
more
up.
than I imagined?
Yes, probably. We will get to that. We'll give away some Chris Stapleton tickets in our next segment as well. So stay tuned for more Ben and Woods coming back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, so we asked the question, trying to figure out what were the Arizona Diamondbacks' odds at the beginning of the season. Now, they didn't win the World Series. They only got to the World Series. So this would have been a losing bet.
Yeah,
you had placed $100 on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Tear up the ticket today. You lost at 125 to 1 odds at the beginning of the season in spring training. Same as the Detroit Tigers going into the year, just ahead of the Royals, just behind the Marlins, who are 100 to 1 and not the worst bet either. Got to the playoffs, didn't get all the way. Now, probably figure about half that for getting to the World Series. You probably could have cashed around 60, 70 to 1 to get to the World Series, which would have been a nice payoff. So when you're looking for that next year's surprise team, you're looking for a team that's in the 100 to 125 to 1 range of what team could that be next year. So I'm gonna stick with my Pittsburgh Pirates are the most Arizona Diamondbacks like team for next year coming out of nowhere. I don't think they will, but they'd be your like team that you'd like say, all right, if they get to the World Series next year, they'll duplicate what the Arizona Diamondbacks did this year.
Well, if there's one thing this World Series has shown us is why not you?
Just get in.
Baseball team, whoever you're a fan of, why not us?
Just get in.
Get to the dance.
Going to give away some Stapleton tickets in a moment. First, though, it's Thursday. Means it's time for our football threesome.
Let's get sexy.
Can Ben and Woods interest you in a threesome?
A threesome would be fun.
Oh, not that kind of threesome.
Dang it.
We're talking end-arounds, the best tight ends in the world.
He must work out.
And going all the way in this game of inches.
Nice.
It's the NFL threesome with Ben and Woods. Brought to you by Hamul Casino. Fun above all else on 97.3 The Fan.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
Is that real? Because it's real, right?
Very real.
It makes me laugh every single time.
When you think of, I'll get us started here. I love that one. When you think of bad owners in sports, who are some of the names that come to mind historically?
Donald Sterling,
Clippers.
Frank McCourt, I think, was
Dodgers.
terrible.
Dan Snyder.
There you
Snyder.
go. Yeah, forced out.
I mean, the list
there's
goes on
certain,
and on.
And usually those tend to also have been franchises that have historically been very unsuccessful, at least during the 10. Now, the Clippers starting to turn things around under Steve Ballmer. Haven't had any championship-type success, but they're not laughing stocks anymore. You get rid of bad owners, things tend to happen. In football, well, the Cardinals have always been, they've had some success, but they've tend to be one of those bottom barrel organizations.
Kind of afterthoughty.
Yeah, sounds like the Bidwell family has just it's gone from generation to generation, and now the ESPN.com crew has come out with a piece about Michael Bidwell, the current owner, about just how miserable things are and how tough he is to work for and what a bad culture they have. Now, I to be fair, a lot of the quotes are coming from a former executive, their former COO, Ron Miniger, who one of his complaints, he got called out in front of a giant meeting of everybody. He had a DUI, and Michael Bidwell was not happy about it and basically stood him up in front of everybody in the organization and screamed at him and said, "This is an embarrassment to me. It's hard to be the one who has the complaint when you're the one who got the DUI."
That's fair.
That is tough, but he said it was so uncomfortable. Even other people who were in the meeting said it felt like he was putting Ron up on a stake in front of everybody. For his part, Ron said, "I did something really stupid, but my face is beet red. I'm already the a-hole. I drove intoxicated." But then he just went over the top in the berating and the humiliation. And he said the negativity sucks the life out of the entire process of the organization, erodes our collective resolve to work. And they have some weird things, like I guess they separated like female employees from male employees. They wouldn't ever let like a female employee accidentally run into a player or anything. They had to use separate stairwells, and they would like isolate them on different parts of the building so they would never accidentally like interact with the male members of the organization. Just some weird stuff.
So that sounds very
out of the Arizona Cardinals organization under Michael Bidwell.
Weird, a little paranoid maybe. Yeah, they're traditionally been kind of there's stories like that come out seemingly every year about them. What's the guy's name?
Michael Bidwell, the owner, or
the other guy?
Yeah, Ron Miniger.
And then they had their GM Steve
Key. Well, yeah,
he got a DUI too.
You remember they had the he was suspended, but the owner then gave him a burner phone because he didn't want him. Made him do that.
Yes.
That was part of this as well.
Very odd.
Former female employee said it was always our fault. Like, it was our fault if we were talking to a man for whatever reason.
Very strange, man.
Yeah, it sounds like some weird things going on with the Arizona Cardinals.
So mine, I was dying laughing yesterday, and I knew I could feel it. I just hadn't put pen to paper yet, and luckily I didn't have to. There's been a rash of injuries, Ben, in the NFL, as there usually is, but it is truly a league that is driven by quarterbacks, and exciting quarterback play will make you tune in. And I think conversely, not good quarterback play makes you not want to watch the NFL action on a Sunday. And I know that NFL is king and they dominate in the ratings, and I think for good reason. It really doesn't matter. They can overcome when quarterbacks go down. But our buddy Tommy tweeted this yesterday. I went, well, thanks for doing this so I didn't have to. Here's just a small list of quarterbacks slated to start this week in the NFL. Zach Wilson, Jaron Hall, Taylor Heineke, Aiden O'Connell, Daniel Jones, Gardner Minshew, Tyson Bagent, again, Clayton Tune, P.J. Walker, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, Jordan Love, who now they have come out, their GM has come out this week and said, we're actually not sure if Jordan Love is going to be our quarterback of the future, which is just...
even that list is terrible.
It's terrible.
But prior to even hearing that, I was looking at the lineup, the schedule for this weekend. It's bad team versus bad team.
Even if they had their best quarterback in, it still wouldn't be great.
The best game of the week is at 6 a.m. in Germany.
Yeah, Chiefs, Dolphins in Germany.
What a great game. That's a great game.
That's the best game they've ever played, like, in Europe.
Can't wait to see the highlights.
6 a.m. on Sunday. Okay, yeah, it's just a tough...
I mean, and you're going to have to probably pick one of those quarterbacks you just listed. If you're still alive in your survivor pool,
you got to roll with one
I
of
know
those guys.
I'm rolling with one of those quarterbacks this week, probably.
I mean, Thursday night, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, awful. Miami, Kansas City, great. But again, 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m.
Give me some other matchups quickly.
Vikings, Falcons, both 4-4.
Okay.
Cleveland versus Arizona. The Rams versus the Packers, Commanders versus the Patriots, the 2-6 Bears, the 4-4 Saints.
Doo-doo.
The Seahawks and Ravens, a pretty good matchup, I guess.
That's a good one.
Bucks 3-4 versus the Texans 3-4. The 1-6 Panthers against the 3-5 Colts, the 2-6 Giants, the 3-5 Raiders.
It's so funny because
shouldn't there be some winning teams as well? I mean, this is it's a zero-sum game.
The 7-1 Eagles are taking on the 5-2 Cowboys.
That's a good game. Yeah, but I still think the Eagles will dominate for some reason.
The 4-3 Bengals and the 5-3 Bills are the Sunday night matchup.
There's a couple bangers in there.
The Monday night game is the 3-4 Chargers taking on the 4-3 Jets.
It is funny though because you're talking to someone that on a Wednesday night in August will be like nauseous about a baseball game that's going on between the Padres and division rival Los Angeles Dodgers. Like I'll be pacing my house waiting for these games, and there are people that feel this way.
That's 1 of 162.
It's 1 of 162, and there are people that feel this way about the NFL.
These games are 1 of 6 or 17.
17. It's crazy. Well, it's definitely. I think it's a good weekend if you have not been having a good, successful time gambling on the NFL, and I have not. I think this is one.
Take this weekend off.
The spreads are pretty tight, so
because even the good teams are playing other good teams.
They're so unsure. You're so unsure about some of the quarterback play you're going to see, and I loved that list. Yes, it made me laugh.
Can't take a week off in a survivor pick, though.
No,
you got to pick
cannot.
someone. And I'm like trying to decide between the Saints and the Browns.
That's
and
such a rough look.
That is really tough in a survivor pool. But all the good teams are playing good teams.
Yep.
The bad teams are playing bad teams.
And the mediocre teams are playing mediocre teams.
Basically, you're picking against what you think is the worst situation, the worst quarterback. And I'm leaning toward, just told you about the problems with the Cardinals. Clayton Tune is their quarterback, and they're on the road against Cleveland. While Cleveland has its own quarterback issues with P.J. Walker and Deshaun Watson, I feel like they at least have a decent surrounding cast and a defense. Yep. So
I'm looking at the
I'm leaning
list.
toward the Browns this week.
We use Yahoo Sports for our survivor pool, And the most picked team this week, however many thousands of people remain, 54% are going with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, there you go.
37% are going with the Saints.
Well, those are my two choices.
And then it
right
drops
there.
down to 2%, the Falcons over the Vikings.
That's a weird week in the NFL, to be sure. Woods, you're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. I just like to say that.
I don't think I am. But.
Well, we are giving away a couple of tickets to Chris Stapleton right now, March 2nd, Petco Park. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com, but you can win a pair right now. Be the fifth caller, 833-288-0973. Right now, dial 833-288-0973. Good luck. We'll come back, wrap things up with Ben and Woods next here on 97.3 The Fan.
How dare you? I just said I didn't even want to talk about it the whole show, but congratulations. Austin Hedges, World Series champion for the Texas Rangers. Won AB in the World Series, a very uncompetitive AB, but can never take that away from him. Had an at-bat in the World Series, swung 3 times and called it a day. Caught an inning, maybe. And but he's a champion. I don't take it away from him because of you slog through a career with the Padres, and you somehow you manage to, based on your defensive work, keep a job, get a job, be acquired at the deadline from the Texas Rangers, and clearly a great cheerleader on the bench. But yeah, it's a weird.
What's the mindset? Like, what's the mentality for a guy like Austin Hedges? I mean, Max Scherzer really didn't do a whole lot for the Rangers this year.
Took the ball in the
postseason. Took the ball in the playoffs for sure. I would definitely. He gets a lot more credence there. Matt Bush was on the roster. Didn't even know he was there. Really,
I forgot that he was still around.
And now he's a World Series champion. He'll get a ring. Like, it's the greatest moment of their lives, of their careers.
Well, Paulie, I think too. You think about
how do you justify it?
Well, you justify it by, yeah, man, I grinded my ass off in high school and college and minors, and it's hard to
does Matt Bush stand next to Nathan Uvalde and be like, "We did it, bro"?
That's the thing. It's like, I think you want maybe a little bit more muted celebration. I think I would be more muted. If I took 6 months off in sabbatical and you guys reached even bigger heights, I would be like,
you should be the one pouring the champagne on the stars, not the one getting the champagne poured on you.
Yeah, I think that's maybe I've just
now I don't know if this is true, but I'm sure that there's been players who've contributed behind the scenes more. Hey, they have a ton of meetings. You have your catchers meetings, and you go over game plans, and maybe you have an observation or two here on a batter, a pitch. Hey, for your pitcher, hey, I saw you were doing this out on the mound, and you can at least justify it to yourself. I may not have played. I may not have got a hit,
but I was part of the team.
But I was part of the team. I worked hard I worked hard off behind the scenes and in the meetings and contributed where I can. And, I deserve to enjoy this just like the rest of my teammates. It's
along with your teammates.
How do you feel if you're a scout for the Texas Rangers right now?
Man.
You're stoked, but what if none of your players actually are on this team?
Is that possible?
Well, sure. Yeah.
What if maybe your players were flipped to get other players? Or
maybe you were only hired a year ago and you scouted a bunch of draft picks who are still in low A ball.
No, you're part of the team.
And you haven't done really anything yet to contribute to the current success of the team. But you're part of the organization.
You're a scout. You're stoked about, this is it's your recruiting, essentially.
Playing is different. And he's played. He has had a long career. Sometimes you look at the numbers and the at-bats and you go, I feel like better players have not gotten that opportunity, right?
Of course,
to stick on that long.
On the
but
stream,
there's
I put
a
the
reason.
picture of Hedges next to Corey Seager.
One of these things is not like the other.
Come on.
But hey, listen.
That's why you have things like World Series MVP awards, though, to separate the real contributors from the guys who are just at the end of the roster. And everyone gets a ring, but Corey Seager gets a World Series MVP award.
I'm not begrudging anyone a shot at a World Series ring. Again, to become a big leaguer takes an amount of focus and effort and ability that I've never even sniffed, not even close. And I think about the work that all those guys did to even get to the show, then to somehow manage to stay in the show. And I've heard some of his methods on how he stayed in the show, and they're not my favorite. But listen, again, you got one AB. I just feel like...
Didn't he get 2 in that same game?
No,
I think he struck out both times.
No, he was on deck.
Yeah.
He was in the hole.
Did he not? I thought he got up
and
struck out again.
Why you pitched to Garcia when Austin Hedges was looming in the hole.
I thought they intentionally walked him to get to Hedges again.
No, I'm not really even begrudging them either. Like Matt Bush, Austin Hedges, guys like that. They just happen to have San Diego connections, of course. I'm really trying to decide, how would you feel in that spot?
I would think about...
It's like you're a freshman that got called up to varsity and you're like, these guys are way out of my league. I'm happy to be here.
Listen,
you're all on the same level.
You can have a guy be not your favorite player at all. And I would say that there are a few of those guys and, still also be like, I respect the ability to get there, stay there. You weren't the world's biggest contributor. He did have more. I think he had more pitching appearances for the Texas Rangers in blowouts than he did. He did like position play. I think it's close. James just tweets in, Austin Hedges got more postseason ABs than Jorge Alfaro did in 2022. Exactly. There was some reason they wanted to bring him in. Good baseball guy, good cheerleader guy. My biggest problem was, bro, what are you cutting to him every single play for? A great play. Is it because of the reactions, the over-the-top reactions? Maybe, but I don't begrudge him.
He slipped the camera guy $100.
He's earned it, I guess.
Hey, bro, I'm going to be on the left side of the railing.
Yeah, make sure you get me.
I'm wearing the blue hoodie.
Got the hoodie
At the very
on.
least, you didn't do anything that prevented your team from winning the World Series.
That's exactly right. That's
Because they actually won it.
Yeah.
You won't have to sit
right.
what did I do wrong?
You get to enjoy the celebration and all that follows. Had the Rangers lost, you could be like, hey, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just weird. It's weird. It was weird to see it. And you think about it, and it's always that argument that you have at the end of your career when you're like, who's the basketball player with 5? Robert Horry? Good player.
He's got like 7.
7. Oh, yeah, he's got 6, 7. Good player. But logic tells you he should not have more rings than Larry Bird.
Michael Jordan.
Like, right. It just, LeBron James, it just doesn't add up. But, hey, man, it is what it is. You do judge guys on their rings, and at the end of the day, you can say I was a World Series champion. It took me a long time to get there, and I had to play with some really bad teams and catch a lot of innings to get there. Maybe didn't catch the most innings with the Texas Rangers, but I'm a World Series champion. I don't think anybody can take that away from you.
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Caltrans Stormwater Program. Visit cleanwaterca.com. Let's change this to that by picking up after our pets, reducing pesticide use, and regularly servicing our vehicles. Learn how at cleanwaterca.com. That's cleanwaterca.com from Caltrans Stormwater.
I did see a cool stat this morning that said the Texas Rangers played 179 games this year. Marcus Semien played in 179 games this year. Played every single game for the Texas Rangers.
That
is
shot
pretty
last
cool.
night, my God, what a bomb!
They said it on the broadcast. It's the exact same thing that went through my head. Oh my God,
the game was already over.
It was
when he hit it. Once the ball went under Alec Thomas's glove, it felt like it was over.
But the night before, getting a homered again,
it was the icing on the cake.
Yeah, but finding it at the absolute right time, because he was not good, and they kept sticking with him and rolling him out there, and he's been so great, defensively, and you knew it was just a matter of time. Brian tweets in, Hedges is going to milk that World Series champion like you've never seen a pro athlete before. That I could absolutely see. I wonder, it will not be an understated celebration. He told Chris Rose on the Chris Rose rotation, as he's a part of that, that he will wear assless chaps at the parade. And I don't think you can go back on your word, and I honestly don't think of any other player that would be more likely to wear assless chaps than Austin Hedges, right? Corey Seager would be a surprise if he goes, I'll wear assless chaps, and then he actually did it. I'd be shocked, in fact.
Do you wear something under them or no?
No, they're just chaps.
Right.
And
that's
nude.
like the front of pants, but not the back of pants.
You're nude.
I've never understood, what is the point of front of pants
chaps?
for cowboys?
What is the point of chaps?
Yes.
Let me think for a second.
Like, there must be some cowboy point to wearing just the front of pants, but not the back of pants. Because it seems like you just wear pants and you're good. You've got both sides covered.
You need to be able to, it's more flexibility, maybe. If you wore jeans, but see, they wear jeans.
I was going to say cowboys
on top of
it. What's the point?
Assless chaps
is it just to keep
and chaps are two different things.
No, they're the same thing.
Yes.
You're
chaps,
wearing
chaps are just the front.
Chaps are chaps. 833-288-0973. If anyone knows the point of chaps, I would
and we'll check traffic and we'll come and answer this question.
I know what spurs are for. I know what a cowboy hat's for.
I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
I get
Those have a
function. What is the function of chaps?
What are the function of chaps?
So glad you brought this up. I was always afraid to admit I had no idea.
I have no idea. Let's check traffic and see if we can figure this out in the last 5 minutes of the show here on 97.3 The Fan.
Please call.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a collision on the coastline. Several vehicles involved in this one. Southbound 5 before Manchester. They all managed to make it over to the right shoulder. Also going to find on the northbound 5 near Balboa some debris in middle lanes. Also some debris reported on the southbound 805 just past El Cajon Boulevard. Traveling west on the Keene Freeway just before the 125, stalled car in Center Divide. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go to Mark. Mark, what are chaps for? Can you tell us?
Hello, what was that?
Yeah, what are chaps for when Cowboys wear chaps?
Guessing that's not why
That's
you called
probably
in.
not why
I'm
you
sorry
called
you
in.
didn't
call
win the
in to
Chris
talk
Stapleton
assless
tickets.
chaps.
You really do need to know what chaps are for to win the Chris Stapleton
Oh, do
tickets.
you? I didn't know that.
Apparently. According to Wikipedia, chaps are sturdy coverings for the legs consisting of leggings and a belt. They're buckled on over trousers with the chaps integrated belt, but unlike trousers, they have no seat. The term
we know
assless chaps is a tautology. You don't need to say that, like you said, like you just indicated. Chaps are inherently
assless.
Yes. They're designed to provide protection for the legs. Yeah, we get that, but why couldn't you just have the whole pants?
Just wear leather
double pants?
What's the point of not having the seat?
Like waders if you're going out fishing in the river or something.
Why wouldn't you have the seat as part of it? Practical work purposes or for exhibition or show use. Adopted for use in motorcycles. Again, I still don't know exactly what the point is of not having the butt portion of the chaps.
Can I be honest with you? They look cool as hell. I mean, if you're a cowboy and you're wearing chaps, inherent like you
over your Wranglers,
you look like a badass. Motorcycle guys wear chaps too, leather chaps, and that's probably for protection in case they fall. I've seen guys in chaps on bikes. I'm pretty sure, or maybe they just wear leather pants. I don't know. Does anyone know? Any cowboys out in the audience? 833-288-0973. What is the purpose of chaps other than looking like a hard ass? More protection?
Just an extra layer.
Padded, you could just wear padded jeans.
There's chainsaw chaps that are part of chainsaw safety, like extra preventing you from cutting your leg off, I guess.
That makes sense.
They're like made out of Kevlar, though.
You don't ride a horse.
I guess you don't
and
worry.
wear a chainsaw.
You don't worry about chainsawing your butt as much. You just the chainsaw on the front is what you're trying not to avoid getting hit right there.
Yeah, nobody really knows apparently.
Let's go out to the phones here. Who's
Here
this?
we go. Who do we got?
You're on the air.
Hello?
Chap Talk with
Chap
Ben and
Talk.
Woods.
What do you got?
Hey, the chaps, they're like made out of leather. The way they wear, so when they're riding their horse, it protects them from like thorns, mud, dirt, rocks, and stuff like that. It kind of keeps their pants clean.
Okay.
It protects them. It has a little bit thicker layer of protection.
But you don't need protection because you're already sitting on the horse.
Yeah, okay. Protection.
So
True,
while
but
you're
when you're
right.
when you're riding through the bush and
Yep.
you're riding through some bushes, all those bushes are scratching at you, and they're
Good.
not going to tear your pants that way.
Brilliant.
Because you're up high, you don't need them on your
arm.
arms necessarily.
Yeah,
as much.
brilliant.
And you don't
Okay.
need them on your butt because
on
you're
your
already
arm.
sitting on the saddle.
That's brilliant.
Okay, that makes sense
Okay,
now.
riding through the
Thank
bush.
you very much, caller.
And it could be thorny.
It's
and
protecting your pants and your legs,
Yeah.
but you don't need the protection on your backside
sitting.
because it's not exposed to anything. You're sitting.
I feel infinitely better now that I know what the purpose of chaps are.
So
and now,
why is Austin Hedges wearing them in the World Series parade?
he said that he would? He said that he would wear assless chaps, which means he's going to be in assless chaps. I would imagine they're going to hold him to that. In fact, speaking of bits, did you guys hear the news? So you know the Mad Dog thing. He said he was going to retire if the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies. Then he walked that back. He went on Howard Stern, and Stern said you have to wear a bikini, walk up and down the street with a sign that says "Dunce" or something.
I'm a liar.
I'm a liar. He said I'll do it. He's now backed out of that.
Oh.
Howard Stern has now put him on the persona non grata list and said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm done with you. You're clearly not a man of your word, and now you've backed out of two things that you said you were going to do." It's just dumb. It's all dumb, but it's real. The credibility is in question for Mad Dog.
Yeah, he could have gotten out of it, but it's hard for him to ever say anything with conviction again when you know he doesn't really mean it and he's not going to go through with anything.
Exactly. You can't just write. You can't just make bets. You're
I
not
mean,
going
when
to
you
pay off.
said you'd do the show in your underwear if the Padres hit a grand slam for a fourth straight day, you felt like you needed to do it
I had
because
to
you
do
said it.
A diaper. See, no, Eric says chaps are worn to keep from chafing with the saddle, but no, they're not on your butt. Maybe your inner thighs and protection
but then you
from
wouldn't need everything else. Maybe
protect the legs of cowboys from contact with daily environmental hazards seen in working with cattle, horses, or livestock. I've never worn them, and I don't.
Not even in a costume.
Nope, and I don't foresee myself ever wearing chaps, assless or otherwise.
No, that chaps my hide.
I was waiting for it.
There
I'm surprised he didn't come sooner.
All right, we are
That's it
done
for
for today.
Mercifully.
As once again, we fizzle right to the ending here of Ben and Woods.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock, we'll turn things over to the coach, John Quintera. Braden Soprenet, they are coming up next. We will be back for a Friday edition of Ben and Woods tomorrow as we really get into the off-season mode. Now, free agency around the corner, everything else that's going to be going on. We'll be back at 6 a.m. for Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods. I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Thursday from all of us here. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long.